You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we have entered December, and it has been quite a week of surprises and shocks in more ways than one. And I cannot wait to get into it. So December came in very hot. For starters, I want to just get into the fact that I have a new Telfar bag that I was showing everyone about. The Medium, which I premiered on Instagram. I have a Medium bag in my possession. Like, I went out with it. I'm in love with it. It's fly. I was always a little hesitant about the idea of it because I was like, well, is it going to be, I'm not really a small girl. Like, I really can't get into the small bags per se. It's the small is just too small for me. And I'm tall, like I'm 6 foot. So I can't really carry that little small bag, especially with the type of jacket. I'm so tall that I guess the way that bag, if you actually have seen the small Telfar bag, if I put my hand down, like fully down, you wouldn't even see it. Like, it doesn't, like, I know for some of my, my short queens or short kings, because, everybody is gender neutral. Some people, the small bag will touch their, like, their leg. They're not their leg. Like their leg area, like their knee. I've seen the small bag touch some people's knee by how long it stretches. For me, it just doesn't do anything for me. Like, the type of stuff, like, I have a huge portable charger. It's almost like the size of a brick. It could literally be a weapon. And sometimes when I make it through the metal detector, I'm like, I can see why my bag is getting stopped, because this does look a little sus, but it's actually a charger, but it's a really good portable charger because it can actually charge like 2 phones at the same time, a laptop, whatever. It's really one of those good ones. And it does what it needs to do. But for people who, I guess, are not like that, like, I forget what they call it. The type of charger, it's like one of those big fat chargers. And if I put it in that small bag, it literally will take up the bag. Like, it will be most of the bag. And then I also have the Telfar wallet, and then trying to put the wallet in there, it just, in my phone will stick out. Like, if I put it in, if I don't lay it down super flat, the phone will stick out. Like, nothing about this is meant for someone my size or even the type of lifestyle that I have. So the Medium was always the answer, and still is the answer. And I'll explain why in a minute. But that Medium, that is what the small, I guess, do for some of y'all. Now, I think for some folks that are really, the smaller girls, I think this Medium is what you all want, what you all thought that the Medium was going to do for you. And this Medium is what the small is doing for me, but more reasonably. So here's what I can say. This Medium does not fit a laptop, but it can fit a pad. So if you have an Apple, if you have an iPad, if you have one of those cute little small work clothes, like, I'm talking about those mini laptop situations, it can fit in there. But I don't really think that the typical, a decent standard MacBook could fit there comfortably. Telfar really thought really long and hard and strategic about how he was going to, make sure his stuff was going to he was going to make sure that he cut it in a way that, one, it should not, and to be honest with you, this Medium should not fit, an Apple MacBook or whatever, because that was the whole point of the bag being too big for people who felt like that bag was too big. So I get that. But it can fit your phone, it can fit wallets, other stuff in there comfortably. It's almost what I would consider the average purse size. So for people who have the traditional, a nice little cute purse, this is typically what I would consider the traditional purse size. Like, this Medium is really a Telfar purse, because the Telfar Medium, that's more of a larger purse if you or handbag or however you want to describe it. But this would be the traditional handbag purse size. Um, that small thing, I don't know what that's giving. But I wore it for the first time. I have a cobalt, which I really like because Telfar doesn't really have a standard blue. People say that the painter's tape is, but I feel like that blue was like so loud and jarring. And I'm not a Sigma, so it doesn't work for me that way. I always call it Zeta blue for those who know what a Zeta is. Zeta blue is the color I look at it as, and I know a few Zetas who have that bag. But the cobalt for me, I like it because it's got a shimmery navy-esque color to it that is a navy, but a shining navy. And it has that nice little gleam over it. And I love it because it has a metallic feel, but a navy blue metallic look. That's not super dark, but definitely not light and not corny, like the corny typical blue color either. And it really pairs well with like, I have a lot of course, navy blazers and some nice bluish blazers. And I feel like it gives a nice pop to my outfit. So that is what I like it for. Also denim, it really does well with denim. If you don't want to do the denim on denim look, that was great. So I went out to, I took a visit to Inswell, which is, of course, this really lovely restaurant in Rittenhouse. I've been before when it first opened last year, but I revisited in Rittenhouse, and of course, it was fabulous. What's known about this place, before I get back to my Telfar discussion, is that Inswell is all the liquor they use there is all local, like all Pennsylvania brands and a lot of Philadelphia brand liquors. That is what is their signature. So they do not use any outside liquor. So you won't catch, like if you want gin, it's going to be Blue Co. Baby. It's not going to be Hendrix or Tanqueray. It's not going to be any of those types of gins. It's only going to be Blue Coat. I think there might be another local gin, but the only gin I drink that's local is Philadelphia Distilling. So Blue Coat, of course, which is made in Philadelphia Distilling at Philadelphia Distilling. But anything else, like there's no Tito's vodka. They're using local Philly-based, Pennsylvania-based vodka. So it is cool for that. And the interesting thing is even the liqueurs, like everything they do, they have to make in-house syrups and things like that to like complement it. So you're never going to get, I don't know if there's like, how do I put this? Like you will not get, I don't think, the standard Cosmo there because I don't know if there is a local based orange liqueur or not orange liqueur, like there's like certain types of liqueurs I think they don't have because there's not Pennsylvania made. So they have to create like alternatives to try to, get some of that, get the flavor out. So they won't ever, if you ask for a Cosmo, it will be some type of cocktail that's close to a Cosmo, but it will not be exactly like a Cosmo. And so that's because they're really honest with their whole lineup and ingredients. And a lot of people sometimes I think have those expectations of like, oh, well, you got to make this exact drink because I need this type of vermouth and this thing. They have some of that. So like, for example, triple sec, right? That is that orange liqueur I'm speaking about. Triple sec, I don't know if there's a Pennsylvania-based triple sec, but I know that there are some liqueurs that, they might have to add a little bit of they might have to let some orange peels rest in something else that's similar. So that's the caveat, but it may not be a bad caveat. It might be that it's more creative, right? The food is incredible. I mean, they had some really great food. I mean, I ate my way through, I think 11 courses. I was there trying different dishes. But the one thing I do want to let people know, because this is big, they do not have reservations. You cannot make a reservation to go. And that's why I haven't been to Inswell in a long time, because it's not the type of place that you can make a reservation for. You kind of have to just roll up. And every time I've gone, it's been packed. I went on a Friday night and it was grooving and jamming there. So people do go. But it is a place that you want to, if you really want to go, you need to make plans to go. This is not a place that you want to do a date night at like 8:00. You want to kind of work, you want to kind of come at 7, or not 7. You want to come at like 5 for like a happy hour situation. Like not 5 at the dot, maybe 4 o'clock, 4:30 to get you a seat, slide in there, make it work. But the one thing that is, I guess, promising about the fact that it doesn't have reservations is that there is a great turntable situation. Like a lot of people that do go, because there's no reservations, the moment a seat opens up, you got that seat. If you're not waiting, you know. But I have heard from folks who don't have the patience or time or whatnot that it is a cute place to go if you want to go to the bar, get a drink, have a cute little cocktail or a social hour for those folks that love to do let's go here for a drink before we go to our main thing. So that might be the plus sign of it. But nonetheless, I went that night with a good friend and, wore this medium, and it was perfect for the occasion. Like my medium bag definitely did its thing. Because sometimes the medium do feel like it's a little big when I'm not on a work type tip or I'm not going to an event where I know I'm going to stuff some things, some gift bags in or whatnot. So that was the perfect night and the perfect bag for that. That being said, I don't know what the future, now don't quote me on this. I don't know what I am saying. I can't confirm. But I don't know how long the small bag is going to last. Now that this medium, which is what everyone seemed to have wanted from Telfar from day one, now that this medium bag is kind of out there now, I wonder how long the small bag is going to last. The small bag is the only bag that is under $200 from the Telfar collection. This medium is there around $200, I think like a little over $200. But this medium bag is. But the small bag is, I think, under $200. At this point, Telfar can go with medium and work his way up, and everything is going to be $200 or higher, which is still affordable. At this point, the Telfar brand is a global brand. It is the bag that everyone knows about or wants or try to grab. It is clearly in high demand, has maintained being in high demand for quite some time. It's been about 2 years since Beyoncé referenced it in her iconic album Renaissance. And it is still selling. It is still selling out, within an hour or less. So that being said, the bag is doing what it's doing. And I think it just means so much more than just Beyonce or any celebrities like Cardi B, whoever who referenced it. It's because it's a Black queer designer. I have always dreamed of something that I could support for my own. And not just my own, right? Like not just simply a Black designer, but someone who literally identifies as me, but also someone who is creating something that means something more than just luxury. It's so much more than that. Telfar represents creative freedom and our, hustle. This man built this literally from the ground up. He did not come from money. He did not have, these crazy investors and everything. He really hustled. And this brand has been around for over 20 years. So let me be very clear. This isn't a trendy bag. This has been something he's been working his ass off for decades. And to now see it be where it's at in the conversation around fashion, around culture is just inspirational. And so I'm just happy that to see that growth and to see the bag and the brand continue to expand. So that's that. But yeah, I just wanted to, there were a lot of you all messaging me about this medium because I did showcase the bag and everything like that once I got it. But a lot of people want to know what is this like when it functions. And so I'm here with your answers. Of course, this week was Alpha Week, which, as you all know, is an important moment in American history and global history. Over 118 years ago, this past December 4th, okay, the first Black intercollegiate fraternity was founded. Okay, we have seven jewels that has inspired and founded and enshrined an institution that continues to produce incredible men, such as myself, such as Governor Westmore, such as Senator Raphael Warnock, incredible leaders and titans, legends like Lionel Richie and Donny Hathaway, so many great people. We could talk about Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. We could talk about, of course, the incomparable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These are men of caliber, billionaires like Robert Smith. This is what Alpha produces, and individuals like myself. This is what these are pioneers, legends, leaders. And this week we celebrated across the world, because we're not only in America, we have chapters all across the world, in Africa and in Europe and just various continents. The impact and the growth continues. And so the only single letter alumni chapter, Rho, in the entire fraternity, we did Founders Day in a big way. We celebrated epically, okay? December 4th was epic. And so we had a huge party at Bacon Bacon, which is a Black-owned spot restaurant in South Philly. And it was a turn up. We turned out. It was, I think, over maybe 200 people. We packed Bacon Bacon out. They made some good coins. I was happy. It's, like Telfar, Bacon Bacon is Black queer owned, if you did not know that. And so it was great to be in the house. And we had a good time. We definitely had a good time. It was a long night, but it was a great time. And then we had celebrations all throughout the week, but we concluded Alpha Week with a Founders Day brunch, which was on Saturday at the Casino Live. And it was also another dope event. And it was just great. I've really, I feel like I'm like a mascot, but in many ways I am a mascot, an ambassador, a lot of other things that I'll be announcing in a couple of weeks. But it was just great to be with so many incredible Black men, professionals that's doing their thing, and just really being with people who got a vision, because I think that is what we need now more than ever across the board. Even when we think about politics, right? A lot of leaders are lacking a vision. Or those who do have a vision, the vision isn't necessarily the vision that we want, but good leaders, or leaders that we think are doing good or should be doing better, they're lacking vision. And when you don't have a vision, you cannot see. And when you cannot see, there's no plan to make impact. And I think when institutions does not have a vision, that's when things go wrong. You can want to have all these aspirations and all this stuff, but if you don't have a vision, if you don't envision something, then everything else, what are you doing? Where does productivity go? And so every time I take on a new role or take on opportunities or whatever I do, I have a vision up first and foremost, because I have to before I can even do a blueprint, I got to say, this is what this looks like to me. Like, this is what this should look like. And then once I figure out what it should look like and I envision it, then the blueprint is, okay, how do we get to where we want something to look like? And so when you lack vision, everything else falls apart. And so anything that I do, or any board that I work on, any team that I work on, if I don't know what the vision is, it's going to be a halt, baby. We're going to stop. We're going to stop what we're doing, because I can't see. We're going to get the wipers in the car. We got to clean some things, and I have done that throughout my career when it comes to leadership roles that I've had. I have said, hold on now. What is the vision here? What are we doing? Because if I don't know what it is, and we as a team, we don't know what it is, we got to go back to the drawing board. And so, it's interesting because this upcoming Wednesday is the PABJ holiday party, which is going to be exciting. And we are going to also be having our election for the upcoming term. As you all probably already know, I think I've already shared, I'm going to be running for president again. I'm uncontested on the ballot, so I won't be having any challengers, But when people have asked me, as I enter what will be soon to be a third term, people have said, why have you been able to run and lead this organization? It doesn't seem like you have any major internal opposition. Like, of course, I got haters out in the streets. Of course, we know there's that other little group that's trying, a little engine that could, choo-choo. But I think part of it is that when I entered this position and when I entered leadership within the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, my predecessor was Manny Smith, who is still on our board. He's now our vice president of digital. he was president before me, right before me. When I got into leadership, because we both came in the same time, I was his vice president, he was my president. And when we got together, the thing that made this work is that we had a vision alongside our other board members. We was a new regime under this leadership administration. We're still going strong. But we came in with a vision. Like we was like, what does PABJ look like? And this is the vision that we started off in 2018. We ran as a ticket in 2016, and I lost by 2 votes. Some of y'all might remember that. That was 8 years ago. And here I am, 8 years later, going into my 3rd term. If I would have let that loss deter my passion, my interests, into anything that I'm doing and working on, it would have really made some major setbacks. I wouldn't be. But sometimes you have to let people learn. You know, we've seen election losses. 2016 was tough because 2016, you know, Hillary had just lost, and then I had lost by 2 votes as vice president. My presidential running mate, he lost as well. We lost the ticket, and it went under a leadership that was just clearly god awful. So awful that the person 2 years later in 2018, we had to run for re-election, which we call it midterm season. Okay, 2018, it was a take-back season. But they didn't even run for re-election. Their whole administration did not run for re-election. Everybody had to fold it and hold it and fold it. And so we came back. Okay, 2018, we came back on that ticket. We brought some new people on. We had a stronger ticket, and we took everything. Everything. We won. There was no contested race. We swept. And then in 2020, we ran for re-election. This time I ran as president. We swept again. And here we are, 2022. We swept again. And then here we are, 2024. And we're about to do it again. So, what they call that? 3's a charm. And so here I am coming into my 3rd PABJ presidency. And we've mastered through it all. We have made it through a pandemic. We'd have made it through political upheaval. We'd have made it through changes in the industry. And we are going stronger. We'd have made it to 50 years. Because let me be real with you all. 8 years ago, when we had just 2 years past our 40th, we didn't know if we was going to see 50 years. The finances, everything was all over the place. So in 2018, we said we got to get this organization to make it to 50 years, not just to 50 years, but to make it to 50 years stronger than it's ever been. And I am proud to say that we've done it. We did it, Joe. Not Joe Biden. We did it. Joe, one of our, initial founders. We did it, Joe. We did it. So, it is a blessing, and I'm grateful for that. So, speaking of good things and awesome things. So this week, the Black Star Film Festival had their Luminary Gala, which I was very happy to attend as a member of the host committee. It was at the Switch House, which is it's part of a hotel, very nice hotel, but very nice venue space. I've never been there before, but if you all are looking for really nice, fancy venues that are elegant and nice, the Switch House is popping, like popping. I just want to put that out there. This event was very dope. Shout out to my good friend Taib, who, just be thinking about me all the time, and just looking out. So backstory to this, because this is all full circle. So you all remember a year ago, around this same time, I went to this gala, and I told you about how there was somebody on that host committee. Y'all messy. Y'all gonna look up who it is. So I don't even know if I'm in any position. I don't care. I'm gonna name a position. The chair of that host committee last year, we used to be good friends, and we're not friends anymore, clearly. But they were the host committee chair. They're not in Philadelphia anymore. They have soon left Philly because, of course, you know how that goes. But they left Philly. But at the time, they were the host committee chair, and we were no longer talking. And Telfar was being honored, okay, at this event. And I met Telfar. We hit it off when we met in person at that event, and it was life changing on so many different levels. And Telfar has been great ever since. But we got to meet. But they were being honored, and I wanted to go to the event. I didn't even know about the event at first. I didn't even hear about it until like the very, very last minute. And the tickets were like $550 and things. And it was for a good cause. But I think they had sold out of tickets. And I was like, damn, like this person is so like, how you go? Listen, people knew, even y'all know last year, like y'all know I love Telfar. Like y'all know I love the brand, everything. How are they going to have, I just was like, how y'all going to have a Telfar event? How y'all going to have an event in Philadelphia honoring Telfar? And Mr. Philadelphia, Mr. Telfar Philadelphia ambassador, because I consider myself the Philly ambassador of Telfar. But how am I not going to be made aware or be invited or no? It was just really weird. So, of course, because the universe is going to always be on the right side and going to always, it's going to always, the arc is going to always bend in the right favor. And in this situation, my favor. Someone hit me up and said, hey, we got a table. You need to be here. Like, can you come? Child, when I tell you I was in there like swimwear, say less. Got there, met him, met the people, met the producers, met everybody, and really let them know, like, I really love what you all are doing and all this great stuff. I got hit up with an invitation to join the host committee months later. And here I am today. And I'll be back next year. And how long they do it, I support what the Black Star Film Festival is doing. They're very different. Now, this is not the Black Film Festival that's at Martha's Vineyard. They're cute. This is different. Okay. Black Star is everything that I like about Black organizing groups. They come from a liberation mindset. They are invested in global impact that pertains to Black people and those who are down with Black people, because that's important. They take very strong stances on issues, and they're unapologetic, and they're very intentional about what they do and how they want to produce and what they want to support. And they're supporting some very incredible Black and brown filmmakers, specifically Black filmmakers that are doing work that matters. And it's throughout the diaspora, not just in America, but really their mindset and their view about what kind of media they want to create and what kind of trainings they want to do and workshops they want to do. They're incredible. And they're based here in Philadelphia. Black Star Film Festival takes place in Philadelphia every August. The first week of August, which is interesting, because I just told you another film festival decided they want to do their film festivals in August. But the Black Star Film Festival takes place in August. And it's a week long of activities and great work. They're always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for people to support and donate. If you are interested in that, please hit me up or just Google, Black Star Film Festival, when you get to their website, and there are ways that you can donate. They're having a great campaign right now. They've raised over $150,000 in their recent campaign. And as the proud host committee that was raising money and sold tickets and did my part, I'm happy to be someone that supports that and be a part of philanthropic endeavors to support cultural Black institutions like the Black Star Film Festival. So, I love to be in my service bag because that's what I'm about. An alpha man is always, first of all, servants of all, okay? And that's what we do for our love of all mankind. So if you're interested in supporting the Black Star Film Festival, make sure that you do, because they're doing incredible work, not just only here in Philadelphia, not only in America, but across the world. So, that's my cool, public service announcement. So other things before I get into the hot things, because I know y'all, I know what y'all waiting for, and we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to tell y'all about it that I'm not putting anywhere else because I waited, and I know what y'all want to know about, and I have the tea. So before I get into that, Repeal Day, shout out to Repeal Day. Philadelphia Distilling has this tradition every December. They recognize what is called Repeal Day as a fun, quirky 1920s, homage to the days of liquor reform and banning liquor. And then you got the Valentine's Day Massacre and, I hope y'all know. Do y'all know about this? The Valentine's Day massacre. I mean, this is a moment in history. Um, that's still the St. Valentine's Day massacre for those who, Al Capone. This was with the gangs, the rival gangs in the liquor in Chicago, and this is in the Prohibition era. Okay. Nonetheless, the St. Valentine's Day massacre did happen on February 14th, 1929. Okay, and this is in Chicago with Al Capone. This is Chicago's north side. It erupted in gang violence. It was gangster. But this was over liquor and prohibition when there was a time where you could not drink liquor. Okay? It was considered bad. There was banning, and now we drink booze all the time because of that. Well, not because of that, but because at a certain point it was time to regulate. Maybe we're going to see that with cannabis. I mean, we're seeing cannabis get to a point where are we finally in the modern era going to stop trying to put a prohibition on cannabis in some type of way? I mean, we'll see. But nonetheless, Repeal Day is a day to celebrate that era. So it's very swanky. It's very fun. And my fellow Lip brothers, Josh of Josh East Philly, and of course Jamarcus, George was in New York, Dr. Gio. But the three of us out of the four celebrated, and we tried some upcoming spirits that are coming to Philadelphia Distilling. I cannot tell you exactly what the flavors are, but what I can say for all of my Blue Coat lovers is that they are going to release a new gin next year in 2025. They're also going to release another spirit. But what I want to tell you all is, what can I say? Because I know I cannot name it. But what I will say is that it will be this time a very new flavor that is in the same line, like the way they did the barrel, they did the elderflower essence. They are going to drop a new flavor in the collection. And I and the Lip Brothers were one of the first to try this new spirit, and they put it in a cocktail. So for all of my folks that I told y'all don't buy me any more liquor, when this new flavor drops, that is the one I want y'all to buy me for my birthday and for whatever, because this flavor is fire and it is going to be crazy when it drops. Like, I thought elderflower was the bomb. It is the bomb. But this flavor, this is something different. And it will be really good. That's what I'm going to say. Really good, especially for the summer, but all throughout the year. But summer will never be the same with this gin flavor. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I can say. But I wanted to drop that tea. We tried before the Repeal Day started, we was invited to a private tasting to try this new product. Now, for some people who are very much into Blue Coat, I know a lot of my followers know about Philadelphia Distilling, know about Blue Coat, know about it because that's what we love. It is the official gin of Ernestly speaking. So what I will say about Blue Coat and about this flavor is that they did try another type of flavor, right? And for some of y'all remember this, it was called Blue Coat for seltzer. And it was like a seltzer-based gin that was supposed to go with seltzer, but it got discontinued. They still kind of use it, but it's pretty much discontinued. So if you do have a Blue Coat with seltzer for seltzer bottle, it's a collector's item. They're no longer operating it. What I will tell you is that they want to do something within the future, but not in the way that it was previously. So if you do have a bottle of Blue Coat with seltzer, which a lot of you all don't because it didn't sell as crazy, please note that it is no longer it's discontinued, and no one really noticed the discontinuance of it. But I'm here to tell you that it's not coming back in its form. It was supposed to be the sequel to this line of impressioned essence of the Blue Coat of the Blue Coat gin, I'm sorry. What I mean by that is okay, they have, of course, Blue Coat gin. Then they dropped the barrel version, which is very popular. A lot of people like it because it's like an alternative to whiskey. And then they've, of course, dropped the elderflower, which has been a bestseller. And then they dropped the seltzer, which they've now discontinued. They're going to drop another one. This one will sell. And this one is going to be a hit that stick like grits. And I am not going to tell you what it is, but it is fire. And that is what, and so let me tell, and so what I did tell the master distiller, the owner, is that the reason why that is going to be a hit is because I think what a lot of us thought as Blue Coat fans was that we were going to get a new flavor. And this Blue Coat with seltzer version that they dropped, I didn't really understand what the difference was. Like they said it was supposed to be good with seltzer or something, but I didn't understand the concept because I drink my gin with tonic. I don't drink it with seltzer water. So I didn't understand exactly what was its purpose or its flavor difference, and a lot of consumers did not. But that was before I was who I am today. And I didn't really have much of an influence as far as like, recommending and things. But now it's great to be able to taste the product and be able to give him and give notes and give thoughts, and my feedback is there. But it's great. It's a great product. And I cannot wait for the rest of Philadelphia and beyond to try it. So just keep that under your radar. Now, Eater Awards. Eater Philly Awards dropped. They came out this week, and it was quite a lovely surprise. I really enjoyed the surprise. I told you all that this was award season for the Eater brand, and we made some big announcements in more ways than one, I would argue. But Eater Awards came out this week, and Best New Restaurant, which is that I was basically the person who oversaw the selections and everything like that. Bastia won Best New Restaurant, which should come as no surprise because I've been talking about Bastia ever since it dropped. I've been following its most anticipated release all year round. And of course, the juice was worth the squeeze, and it was definitely worth the wait. Bastia just takes the cake for me on so many levels, and it is the best new restaurant in Philadelphia of 2024, in my opinion. Best new dish. Some of y'all might be surprised by this one, but it's the pierogi at Little Walters. I really, look, pierogi has always been a hit or miss for me, but the pierogi at Little Walters was so memorable because, and for those who don't know what pierogi is, this is a dish that is Polish. It's like basically a potato dumpling, but people have done various things with pierogi. So it's pierogi. People say pierogies, but pierogi is the singular term. So you say pierogi. It's like it's like the singular plural version of it. You can say pierogies, but people say pierogi. It varies. But nonetheless, this variation of what they do at Little Walters with it is something I've never seen. And pierogi is very popular throughout Philadelphia and also throughout Pennsylvania. The Danish, it's also in other parts of the country. There's whenever there's a Polish, Danish population of people, they typically eat these, and these are classic. But at Little Walters, they do something very unique. One of their pierogi is with sausage instead of potato, which is really good. They also do have the traditional potato one, but the flavoring on it is crazy. But also, what's also impressive, they also have a dessert pierogi that is like chocolate filled stuffed that also took my mind away with ice cream. And Mr. Johnson took me here for my birthday, and it was a very romantic night in more ways than one. But this restaurant got rated best new restaurant when the New York Times did their 50 best restaurants, which they pick they pick restaurants from across America, and I think it's 50 best restaurants. I think it is, yeah. And they picked one of the 50 best restaurant, 50 new best restaurants. So all 50 new restaurants across the country. They in Pennsylvania and in Philadelphia, they picked Little Walters. Now, it should be noted that Bastia was not fully open yet, and neither was another restaurant I'm about to name in a few. But they did pick Little Walters because they did drop in the summer. I finally had in the fall, and the pierogi was my best new dish of the year. 48 Record Bar is my best new bar. 48 Record Bar is in Old City. Now, Bastia is in Fishtown for those. It's at the Hotel Anna and Bell. Little Walters is in East Kensington. But 48 Record Bar is my favorite, my best new bar of 2024. It is in Old City, It is upstairs from Sarah Frossa's. I think it's called Sarah Frossa's or however you pronounce it. It's on that strip where Royal Boucherie, Cuba Libre, and all that is. So they're right there at 48 Record Bars there. I love that bar. It's really fun. It's got an NPR tiny desk concert energy because they do have small little concerts there, but it's very small, it's very intimate. But what I really love about the place is that it has really great cocktails. It's a real cocktail bar. Nowadays, people just think any bar is just like a place where you just go get the trip, go get beer. I like a cocktail bar. I like a bar that really has a range where they really create original cocktails and you really go to get the drinks. It's not like, oh, I'm just here to get a beer and get some random. It's like, or loud football music. Like, it's actually a bar we can sit down and have a conversation and enjoy. And I really love that about it. And they have, and what I love about them is that they're really interested in like a real cocktail bar. Like, what I mean is that they have fall cocktails. They have, spring cocktails, summer. Like, they really switch it out, and they really is very intentional. And in a time where a lot of restaurants and places are making changes and switching things out and getting cheap and getting lazy, it's just great to see that there's new spots like that is doing that. Also, I got to shout out a place that just opened called Almanac. If you've not been to Almanac, please go. That's also in Old City too, and it's in the upstairs as well. It's kind of got the same feel as 48 Record Bar, but there is an Old City bar takeover that's happening, y'all. Stay woke, but it's really good. Now, for my other restaurant that I also loved a lot, Provenance, and I told y'all about this $225 per person tasting menu at Provenance. This is in Head House Square, which is in the Society Hill area. Translation, the area with the cobblestones. And that is at the end of South Street. Because I know y'all in these neighborhoods, y'all be like, what is Head House Square? What is Society Hill? I ain't never heard it. This is over there on the far end, near the Twisted Tail. It's in that area where the Twisted Tail is, where Bloomsday is. Like, it's right next door to Bloomsday, actually, in Loretta's, which is over there. Loretta's is the little pastry cafe new spot that they just opened. That's like the sister spot to Bloomsday. But Provenance. So Provenance got best tasting menu experience. That is what I awarded it. It is the most experimental, unique, coolest new tasting menu on the market. And this year there was a lot of new tasting menus in Philly. Of course, y'all know I love my Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we always gonna love Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. But I'm talking about what's new. And this tasting menu is something different. I mean, over 20 courses. These courses are most of them are bite size or 2-bite courses. So it ain't like you're going to be walking out there, 20,000 pounds. But it is something unique and unforgettable. And I'm still thinking about that experience. It was definitely one of the top 5 best dining experiences I had, period, this year. But Provenance did his big one. And then, of course, Chef of the Year. I mean, again, does not come as no surprise. Chef Angie Brown at Rex at the Royal. Angie Brown has been doing her thing. The story, her journey as the new culinary director for Rex at the Royal, what she's done to that place. She's transformed it. She just gets better. She's 70. She doesn't like people to know her age all the time. She doesn't put it on everything, but 7 decades. She's been a chef for over 40 years. And she's been a chef more years than she's not in her life. And she continues to raise the bar. She's gorgeous. Her food is incredible. And what she's done at Rex at the Royal has been nothing short than a godsend to that place. I mean, the conversations, the level of excitement that has come to that restaurant. I mean, Rex at the Royal has always been one of my favorite restaurants. But what she's done with the menu is just awesome. And so at a time where people are looking at younger chefs and chefs that's come into the game, I thought, what would it be like of a comeback? Because she wasn't a chef at a restaurant for a while. After her last restaurant closed down, she was kind of just doing a lot of pop-ups and catering and her own private affairs. But the fact that she went back to the kitchen and came to a restaurant like Rex at the Royal in the history, that just wowed me. She's got the best fried chicken in the city. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. She has the best fried chicken in Philadelphia. That fried chicken is addicting. How do I know? Because this weekend I went back And my good friend Michael Twitty, who's also friends with Chef Ange, we call her Chef Ange. Um, he was in Philly, and if you all know Michael Twitty, he's one of my favorite people in the food game. He wrote the incredible book, The Cooking Gene, and also Kosher Soul. He's Black, he's Jewish, he's queer, and he's been someone that I've enjoyed throughout my journey in the restaurant scene and writing about food. And he is just awesome. So he came to stop by in Philly. We all got together at Rex of the Royal. We had good fried chicken and her jambalaya. And the chicken is so good that it's called Chef Angie's fried chicken. It's not Rex the Royal's fried chicken. It is Chef Angie's fried chicken. Chef Angie's jambalaya. Like her name is on it. Okay, this is a trademark, baby. It is certified. So we don't say the fried chicken at Rex the Royal because Rex the Royal's had fried chicken. And it was all right, right? But Chef Angie's fried chicken at Rex the Royal is the one to get. And you can get it every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a special that they run at Rex the Royal for dinner. Okay, so if you want that fried chicken, you got to go. You make a reservation and go try it. And to be honest with you all, it almost got my best dish, my best new dish. But because I knew I was going to give her Chef of the Year, I didn't want any overlap. And this was a tough year. Even though it seems like the restaurant scene in Philadelphia has made some major changes, this was a tough year. We didn't have as many major new restaurant openings this year, but the ones we did have were really strong. Like really strong. And so I'm thinking about this right now. I'm thinking about, like, for starters, like, okay, you got Little Walters, which could have easily been a conversation for Best New Restaurant. Provenance could have been a conversation for Best New Restaurant. But Bastia, I mean, all of them were great. And so how I did it was I said, well, what were the things that I liked about the other restaurants? Because I feel like Bastia, for me, encompassed everything, like a full-fledged restaurant experience. What were the other things I liked? Like Little Walters could have easily been Best New Restaurant, but Bastia came much stronger. So I said, I still feel like Little Walters should get honored. And so I felt like the pierogi was definitely a standout dish. Provenance, that tasting menu, did it for me. And so they need to be recognized. And so, yeah, that was my rationale, my thinking with the restaurants. I know there were other new restaurants that came and went. I wouldn't say came and went, but they came, they did their thing. I'm not gonna name any names, but people was asking me about certain restaurants and being like, well, why this restaurant did? I'm like, don't ask, because I don't want to tell. Okay? Don't ask, because I don't want to tell. But I know there was some new restaurants that had popped up in some places. And to be honest, some of those restaurants, they just need a little bit more polish. A new chef. Figuring out what is working and what's not working. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. So lastly, before I get into hot topics, I told y'all there was going to be some surprises. Now, some surprises that even surprised me. But of course, I made my announcement earlier this past week that last week was my final week as the editor of Eater Philly. Eater Philly, along with other Eater cities across America, Vox Media, which is the parent company that owns the Eater brand and owns other brands that you all have heard of, they're making some major, they've made some major restructuring, some major shifts within the Eater family, within other brands under them. So they own Pop Sugar, which is now PS. They have shifted that. They own Thrillist, which you all have heard. Thrillist is no more. Thrillist has been folded into the Eater company brand, which for some people is like, They have said publicly, because I'm trying to make sure I remember what I will say, because I have definitely signed some things and, took a nice little, I'll get onto that. But what I can say is that they are going in a regional direction. That is what has been communicated, has been said in the press. That's what the press that's been published in the press. That's out there. You could Google that. But, according to reports and what's been said in the press, they're going in a regional direction with the way in which they're going to deal with those cities. What does that mean? It means that you may or may not potentially see like a Eater affiliate, Eater Baltimore or Eater Detroit. You may not see this, the current setup that you're seeing right now, you're not going to see. Things are going to be definitely more consolidated and restructuring. And as a result of that, I had some decisions to make. I was offered a very generous, very nice buyout, which I lovingly and absolutely accepted. I'll just say that. And there were several reasons why. And I think some people will be like, what? I love you there. Listen, I love me there too. I loved it too. But I can read the room, and I can also read the tea leaves, and I also can recognize the writing on the wall. And as somebody who works with companies and don't work for them, and in this case with Eater Philly, I had a very more close contractual relationship with them, given the work that I was doing and the level of work and amount of work I was doing. For me, my livelihood does not depend on Eater. Eater was a great contract that I had. Eater was a great relationship that I had. And I'm making sure I say my words correctly because I want to make, respect my contract. But what I will say is that when you don't have to work, and I'm talking hypothetically, when you don't have to work more for less, then you can always choose the more and then some elsewhere. That's how I will say it. And I'm not talking about any particular company. I'm just speaking in general. But I just, when you're in a position, I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate. I want to say that. I want to make it very, very clear. I think some people were like, oh, I feel so sad and blah, blah, blah. Are you okay? I'm like, I am fine. I am more than fine, actually. I'm very good. But I guess what I will say before I get into that, what I will say is to acknowledge the sadness of Eater and all of that. It is, the industry as we know it is shifting and changing. I've talked about this for the past year, that the media industry as we know it is shifting and changing based on how people are consuming news, how people are reading news, how people are like paying for it and what they're not paying for. And in many ways, free is not free, If you want something that is subscription, don't have to pay a subscription for, it gets harder, I think, for a lot of media companies to maintain models where they want people to access the content. I have to pay for a paywall, right? Situations where you want to make something more accessible, but you also are the industry where there are media trends and changes based on how people are consuming media and news. All of those things are happening in every institution. And what I can say is that to be able to get a severance package and buyout that I got, I feel like, and I felt like for myself, if I would have stayed hypothetically in any place that's making major restructuring, that could an opportunity present itself if something else would have happened down the road. You got to strike the iron while it's hot, is what I say. And because of the fact that I think about other colleagues that I know who are making decisions to decide whether they're going to stay somewhere, go, take something, not take something, however they make it, that is a lot different for their circumstances because the way in which they worked and they are with certain companies, when you are traditional W-2, full-time, my entire benefits and everything is connected to the thing, I got kids, you have to make certain decisions and sacrifice that some people don't. And so sometimes it will be a harder decision because, your livelihood is in a different way impacted. I'm fortunate. And again, I'm blessed that for me, I can make decisions that if any of these things go, and I've always said this, that if something go, I'm always got plan Bs, other plans, other situations going on. What's really cool about this situation though, is that most of the time when I've worked with companies and worked with them and done contracts and stuff, whenever there was a cut, it was just it. It was like, okay, we got to move on or whatever. And you got your last pay and that was it. This is the first time I've ever had a situation where there was changes being made and I was offered a buyout. Like as a professional freelancer, somebody who is an entrepreneurial journalist, I never knew what the hell that was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I've never had an offer like that. I've never had an experience like that. So to be able to exit a situation with a bag on my way out like this for this long, I can't disclose how long, but it's long. Damn. I was like, well, shit, thanks. I was kind of like, oh, okay. Because normally I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be layoffs, there's going to be changes or whatever. I'm thinking, oh, shit, that's it. Well, damn, okay. It was like oh, well, if you decide or, if whatever you decide, if you want to do, blah, 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 blah. But we're going to leave you with this is the package. Oh, wait, there's more? Oh, well, shit, okay. So it was just, to me, that just, for what I do in my work, I've never had anything like this before. And I get why. And let me just say this, shout to unions, okay? Because I guess I still am, but I am a proud member of Writers Guild, Writers Guild Association, WGA East. Shout out to my union and shout out to unions. Please do unions because that, I was able to get what I got because I was in the union. And I was a dues paying union member, proud dues paying union member for the WGA East. Okay, so let me just shout out to unions because, woo, listen, baby, unions, if you ain't in your union, get on it, baby, because you're gonna want to be on the get your ass on the union because if anything go down, that's when it helps. The interesting thing is that in every other situation I've been on with any other company I've had contracts with, I was never part of their unions because I wasn't like an employee. I wasn't in a certain employee level status to be able to qualify to be a union. So to be a part of a union. So in those situations, they were never like layoffs. It was more like, you stayed on for a contract. If there was budget changes or whatever, you just kind of if an editor left or someone changed, you just trying to change, you moved on. And that was just it. Everybody just split amicably. But this is something different. And I was very touched and verklempt that such an opportunity presented itself. But shout out to them unions though. So what part? Because I'm going to address some other, we're going to talk about some people and some shit that was said in these streets and clarify some things. But I'm trying to remember where I want to go. So I got the news. So all is well. What I want to back up on, and this is what I will say, and I did touch on this and suggest this a little bit when I made my Instagram post, which is clearly going viral and definitely have made headlines apparently. What I will say about what I was talking about, I saw the writing on the wall personally, and I'm not disparaging my previous employer. I'm not disparaging Vox. I want to be very clear by saying that I am very grateful to the staff and the team at Vox Media and Eater and everyone for my wonderful time that I spent, I think it was a year and a half, and all of the great support and resources. It was a great time. It was a beautiful time. I have no complaints about my time at Eater and everything of that nature. So let me just preference by saying that, like, none of this is disparaging at all. I'm just talking from a media educated savviness perspective. I sense the writing on the wall with, or at least the restructuring. That may be the better way to say this. I saw the writing on the wall around restructuring when the Eater app was created, that there would be a restructuring Eater. And I'm not saying this in a defamatory or derogatory term. Y'all know somebody's, like, how the lawyer be looking at you like legally, allegedly. Listen, I'm got to make sure I get my words right. None of what I'm saying is derogatory or disparaging, because restructuring is what all companies will do. So I saw the writing on the wall, or I got a sense that there would be some changes when the Eater app was created. Because for me, speaking for myself and on behalf of any company or any group, for me, I was like, well, if people are going to be going to the app, how do they go to the website at the same time? If you look at the app, and this is just me looking at the facts, the app does not really pull up articles as much. It's very focused on directing to certain restaurants in their partnerships and their collaborations. That's just what it is. It's like you go on the app and it directs you to recommended spots. Now, of course, those recommended spots are navigated by the coordinates and the guiding of the articles that are map related articles, but any breaking news stories, any other feature stories, that's not on the app. So everything is geared towards you going to the app. But once you go to the app, and you're in the primary interest of our readers, at least as the editor, when I was the editor, what I observed was that a lot of readers went on the site for the maps. Once they started going to the app, I noticed that some people that I spoke to said, oh, I don't really go on the website no more because I go on the app, which I was like, okay. And so part of me was wondering, well, how do you move traffic and navigate traffic? And that was something I was always thinking about, like, how do you maintain traffic on the site if people are going to the app? That was always a question in my mind. And I never really got a firm answer, just in general. And there's no shade, there's no critiques, there's no, just a fact. So there were opportunities elsewhere, that's what I will say right now, where different opportunities, not opportunities from, let's say, competitors per se, or not, who knows, but different people, different spaces that I've been operating and working under, had reached out to me some opportunities for other things. And, I always told y'all that I really, y'all ask me all the time, how do you do it all? How do you do this? How do you do that? These are good questions. Sometimes I look at myself and I say, well, how do I keep doing it all? But I've always told myself in my life that if I go into a bigger project or endeavor or something, then something has to take a back seat. Like, I don't really try to front load too much. Like, anytime I do one thing, something else takes a back seat. Some stuff don't necessarily get eliminated, but some stuff does not take up too much of my occupation and time. And so things are interesting in transition. Like, for example, if you notice that during the campaign cycle, this Harris-Trump presidential election cycle, I wasn't doing too much aggressive political coverage for any media outlets. But you notice I was doing a lot of food reporting and things because that was what was calling my attention and my time at that time. Well, that era cycle's done. There are new opportunities, new things that now have appeared. And so something just said, and this is wisdom from close friends, mentors, family, of course, take the damn meeting, Ernest. I said, okay, why not? Somebody thought of me for something. They said, you would really be good for this. You should, consider it. I was like, well, I'm over here doing these restaurants. My schedule, I just was having all these questions. But something in my gut, and that's why sometimes you trust your gut, said, it doesn't hurt. It does sound nice. Don't overthink it. And I tell people all the time, don't overthink it. So I said, let me take my own goddamn advice. So I took the meeting, and that meeting opened up my mind to opportunities and things that I was like, oh, damn, whoa. And what was cool about it, because I'm not telling you what it is, and I know y'all hate when I get coy and vague, but that's not the point. There's a bigger message outside of the who, what, when, and where details, okay? Stop being nosy. But no, the thing about the opportunity was that it would open doors and check off other boxes with other things that I currently am working on elsewhere that I've always kind of wanted to connect dots anyway. And so it's one of those things where this doesn't just do one thing, it does several other things, and it would actually make my life overall easier on so many other aspects of what else I do beyond media or journalism or whatever per se. And so when I looked at that, I said, oh, wow, the time couldn't have been any better for so many reasons. And so I was like, yeah, this is. So I went through a series of interviews and conversations, and I got the offer from this other opportunity right before I heard and got contacted by Vox and, whatnot about a buyout and everything. Interesting enough, I did accept the previous offer before I even knew anything about the buyout thing. This new role is going to start in January. To be clear, this new role is going to start in January. I'm coming to 2025 hot. I kind of already hinted this to y'all. I already kind of hinted this because I kind of told y'all this like last week. I'm going to be taking on several new roles and doing some very different things. But at the time, and this is why life is weird in a good way, I was like already planning my exit strategy. So the truth be told, I was already planning my exit strategy from Eater before I actually got this offer. Not the offer, the buyout choice. Like I was already planning to leave. And my plan was to kind of do it this way where, again, sometimes we try to plan and then planning don't always, things happen its own way. But I was planning to, December 23rd was like my last day. December 23rd was my last day of doing any writing for Eater before I went out for the holidays. And so my plan was that I was going to, I let it be known this past week, I was going to let it be known, hey, here's my final day, yada, 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 yada. The 2 weeks notice thing, let you all know before year's end, and then kind of segue into my new opportunity and kind of do it like that. That didn't happen because, well, for starters, if I would have, before things were signed and offered and things, if I would have said that before I got the offer, the buyout situation with her, I could have forfeited y'all because I would have technically would have quit it. And if I would have sent a letter of resignation and would have said, my last day, then technically I would have been leaving before I would have had no other choice. And then technically, I would have missed out on a nice situation if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So literally by just, somebody told me, don't say nothing yet. Just wait it out. Don't do that. You don't got to do it so fast. Relax. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should, whatever. Because part of it was the thinking of some of my people who told me this. Their mindset was, well, what if somebody in the team or whatever tells the information before you do? And I was like, you're right, because I like to control my narratives. I'm a public figure to people, and we'll get to that in a minute. I don't want no one telling anything before I do. I like to be able to control, my information. My business is my business. And I think a lot of y'all need to work on that, okay? The Beyoncé way of media is what some of y'all need to model. Sometimes you want to be in control of what you want to disclose when you want to. I think it's about having self-agency, whether you are a public figure or not. I feel like everybody should have agency on how they want to share their information, their stories or whatever, because it's your business. But for me, it was more of, I did not want anyone putting it out that I had left Eater or whatever the case was, what it was going to be before I was able to do that. I want to do stuff on my own terms. And that's what I do. But at that time, so I withheld until I did not have a choice to. And I realized that I didn't have to do it so early, is where I was getting to. And in many ways, thank goodness I didn't. Because if I would have, then, if you resign before you're offered, you technically do not get you don't qualify for severance or anything, or you get a buyout if you quit. Because if you quit, then you just quit. Then it's just like, well, then no one's offering you anything. You don't get anything because you left the job. So you're technically not an employee. So I didn't know what it was going to be. So I didn't say anything. Literally, y'all, the next day after I had gotten my offer and I came to terms with I was going to move to my next venture, I got the call. And then that's when the buyout and everything, the offer and everything happened. It was that far of a difference. I'm not going to go into all that online on social media, anywhere else. But, my listeners, my avid, earnestly speaking listeners who are well invested in me, that was the reality. And so it was a blessing in disguise. I definitely dodged me some, not that I dodged a bullet, but it's just like I'm in a position right now where I'm going to enjoy the fruits of this buyout while also starting a new journey into a new venture and situation and being able to do all the cool new things I'm going to do and, all is well. That's pretty dope. So I decided that Thursday, once everything had got settled, that I wanted to announce it to you all and get it out there. There was a certain reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'm not even going to name him. I'm not even going to give him all that. But they reached out to me like super fast about, like, the moment they heard about the layoff. It was like they were hungry just to know what was going on. I was like, relax. And my mom was like, relax. It doesn't have to be like, why are you so pressed? Oh, yes, because you're a food writer. Um, but I was like, I'm not about to let you break any news about me or any information about what's going on with me before I feel comfortable sharing. So again, because I know how communications work and I know how press work, I put out my statement at 5 o'clock on the dot because I knew that the Inquirer was not going to get no confirmation or nothing. I wasn't going to give them any statements or anything until after I made my announcement. And also I put it at 5 o'clock because I was like, there's no way you're going to run anything about my business before I get a nice 12-hour at least window to be able to share and discuss it the way I need to and the way I would appreciate it. Because I don't know what y'all going to do and how y'all going to fuck this up, which they did fuck the story up. So this person reached out to me, like I want to say around maybe before noonish, when it was public that there was going to be some layoffs and some changes at Eater and within the Vox family. I had just wrapped up my stuff maybe less than 30 minutes after this person hit me up. And I'm like, before I can even process you hitting me up, like, how insensitive is that? But this is the Inquirer. I don't expect anything more. I don't expect anything less, to be honest. I was like, damn, that's so insensitive. Could you imagine something happening and somebody's bombarding you like, but this is what happens when you are in the public eye, in the public spotlight. And this is just what happens when you're in that world. So when this all went down, this all came out, I was like, I told them I will get back to them. I wasn't privy to talk. I waited till 5 o'clock. I got my statement done, checked on it, made sure that everything was legally sound, all that jazz. It went out at 5 o'clock. I hit them back after 5 for sure and told them, basically let them know that the statement that I have posted on my social is the statement that you can refer to. And that is the statement. My statement is a statement. See, that's what bad bitches do. A lot of people will be like, well, why you feel like I gotta announce your stuff? Why? Because this is what I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this is why. So I knew that after 5 o'clock is like off hours, like off work hours. Nobody really publishes anything unless it's like breaking news after 5 o'clock at the Inquirer, unless it's like someone dies or something. And also, given that it's food writing and it's food news or whatever, it's not priority on that level. So I knew that they weren't going to be able to break anything or do anything massive on that front. So what ends up happening is I knew the story was going to come out afterwards because he was already fishing, this reporter. So their story comes out. The Inquirer story comes out. It's a headline story. I have not shared it. I have not reposted it. It's easy to look and you can Google and you can find it. But there were several things that was irking about the story. But again, I don't expect anything different because when you're in competition, like our food outlet, Eater Philly, was in competition with the Inquirer's food section. And we beat them to stories. We were fierce. For all of the staff, all of the people that they have at that damn section, we at many times, it was myself and about 3 freelance writers occasionally, we was outpacing them when it came to certain stories and certain trends or news. And it was fun and it was funny to be able to give them a run for their money at times. They had a lot of full-time staff. It was always a David and Goliath situation, but when David got to sling that stone at Goliath a couple times, it was always a good time. So I always knew that in some Schadenfreude way that they took pleasure and joy in my departure, which is kind of fucked up as journalists, but this is how they do. This is what they do. It's like they don't even realize, like, reading the room on so many levels, like, you all stay antagonizing Black folks. Y'all stay antagonizing Black journalists. And as much as I hold myself in high regard, I don't necessarily know why I had to get a whole story. I don't know why it was even like headline news and was on the front page of their food section. I just am like, the only reason I can imagine is because they're like literally haters. And also, to be clear, because I am somebody who has been very critical of the Philadelphia Inquirer, they had this Schadenfreude excitement. And to those who don't know what that term means, it's taking pride in someone else's perceived suffering or misery. I'm not miserable and I'm not suffering. But of course, because they want to feel good about themselves, the way in which they did this story, the framing is crazy. So the headline is like, I'm out at Eater Philly after restructuring. They kind of plant this narrative like, what's the future of the Philadelphia section? And I don't give them any quotes. There's nothing from me that I ever told the reporter that can go in the story. The only thing that I referred to was my statement from my Instagram and from my Twitter and my social media. Rather than actually provide more clarity and some information that I put in my statement, the only thing that was quoted was that I said I had got a very generous buyout. That was it. And so they lead the story with the fact that I got a buyout. I accepted a buyout from Vox Media, whatever. And then the rest of the story is a bunch of like reported insights and details from other sources and stories that talked about the entire restructuring of Eater overall. What was interesting is that while the reporter did not specify the details, they made it appear to me that they were going to be talking about the changes of the Eater brand because of food news in general. Instead, it's a headline about me. It's a picture of me that's not that, it's not a bad photo, but it's an irrelevant photo of me. And there is so many, it's so much implications and implying that there's this like, oh, he's gone, he's out of this business. And the way in which they shared the articles, they put it up, and of course they allow resident trolls and haters to make nasty comments, say things. And it made people get the impression, based on what the Inquirer wrote, which is why I hate to call things fake news, because I really do want to support the free press. But it was just poorly reported. It was just bad framing. It was just a bad story. Like, and also an unnecessary story. Like a slow news day on a Friday. I just kind of was like, is it necessary? I do think I'm hot. I know I'm relevant, but like, damn, you all do not beat the he doesn't matter rumors because who gets a story when they accept the buyout? Unless they're that bitch. I just want to know who's getting it. There has been so many people in the media industry lately that have accepted buyouts. So many people that have had to exit or transition or move from positions. And I've never heard of any singular person getting a full-fledged story with their name on a headline and with a profile, with a headline picture. And this was a picture of me at another gig. I was like, not only are y'all tacky, but y'all gonna use a picture of me when I'm at, it was me doing City Council Live for WRD Radio. I was like, how y'all gonna have my other gig photo in the photo about something else? So misleading. So I was like, okay. People was messaging me like, oh my God, how do you feel? What you think? I was like, child, fuck them. And I really do mean it. Fuck them. And at the end of the day, baby, karma's a bitch. If this makes you feel, if this gives you some sense of joy or whatever you think it is, I hate to burst it for you, but the context and the deeper story isn't what you want it to be, haters. I know y'all praying for my downfall. It's sad. But in the words of my good Judy, Gabrielle Union, and does that make you any better? Does it make you any more money? Did you win an award? Does it make you look good? Are you still relevant in the conversation? When you have your whatever situation, will anybody write about it and care about it? Will it ever be Googleable? Will it ever be a headline? I just want to know, because the obsession, sometimes I'm like, I know there's no rhyme and reason to being a hater, but I just sometimes think that, I just think the haters, I'm like, what you doing, it's not the effect that you think it's giving. It's actually doing the worst. It's actually confirming your insecurities about how you feel about somebody else in the worst way. But it's just like, okay. So from all of the confusion, and what was interesting was I said, you know what? I'm not going to instantly respond or react or say anything about this stupid ass article. I'm not going to address the article directly because I'm not going to give it that much attention, is what I said on my end of my social media tip. But what I did want to do, just because people was running around, clearly not reading the article. I mean, it was TikTok videos. I was like, child, like, this is a lot. I said, let me make some things clear, because misinformation, even by publications that claim that they are legitimate, still runs rampant, because we just came and do a basic story. So here's some things to consider and some facts I just want to just clarify. I'm still a journalist. I'm going to continue to be a journalist. I'm going to continue to write about the various publications. I'm going to do all of that. That's not changing. I'm going to continue to be a journalist. I'm going to continue to be at Philadelphia City Council Live with WRD Radio. I'm going to still be at Philadelphia Magazine writing on politics and other issues and other things with them. I'm going to still be doing national journalism. I'm going to still be with the Daily Beast. I'm going to still be with everybody. Nothing is changing my entire career, journey, path, and all that. Like, I'm still going to be a journalist. So we can make that very clear, because I've heard some people be like, so what is he going to do now? Bitch, what I've been doing. But just want to just make sure that's clear, because, folks out here, and thank goodness I have a actual platform and a space where I could be able to set the record straight. Now I understand how everyday people might feel when things are said about them and they can't even inform the masses. That's why a lot of rumors and things get shut down fast over here, because I can be able to be in control of letting the people know the facts rather than the fiction. But I guess because I'm that important to people. So I want to make sure I clarify that I'm still everywhere else. I'm not leaving Philly either, because that rumor went around. Ew. Also, I do want to add this interesting fun fact. I will also still be occasionally covering restaurants and food in other places, because diverse food writers still matter, okay? I was the only Black food editor in Philly, in the whole Jersey, Delaware. I was the only one. And if you think that I'm just going to let go of this talent, that's not going away. I will be writing and contributing occasionally to somewhere else. Stay tuned. I'll leave it there. You might can guess where it is already if you pay attention carefully. But I'm going to still be doing some food stuff. That's not going away, because I love it. It definitely unpacked a passion, a talent, and thing I've loved, and I'm not going to just be done with it because of one situation. So there'll be some of my food writing somewhere else. That's not going away. And then also, I want to continue to add that I am, I have announced that there's going to be some new roles and new opportunities. Those opportunities are going to expand and translate my love for media in various different places. And a lot of it will be community impact driven and industry driven as well. So I want to make sure that it's clear that the roles and the new things I'm taking on, all of this is a part of what I've been doing and what I love. And that work is going to continue to manifest in various ways. So I definitely want to make sure that's very clear. And what I will say in general, as I move to the hot topics, is that a lot of times, how do I put this? A lot of times I think we have to be clear about what the real story really is. And the real story to me is that this is bigger than me. Like, the flattery of trying to make me a headline is cute, but sometimes I'm a bigger picture dude, bigger than myself. But the real story here is that, is anyone paying attention to what the fuck is going on? like for real? Let's just about food writing, food media. I've been reading it and seeing it. Y'all are going on these influences. Y'all on social media more than anything else. You all are not reading food journalism the way that you used to. A lot of you all are following influencers and pages and TikToks and videos and things. And that is impacting the way in which people decide how to prioritize food media in general. And even great places, major national places, they're reducing the capacity to which they can be able to pay for this content and create it, because now they're like, well, shit, restaurants are paying influencers to come out, and the system is getting very, it's getting, for better for worse, it's changing. I mean, think about, we think about movie critics, film critics. There was a time where people, like, film critics were big. Every newspaper, every magazine, every place had a film critic. Now they barely exist. A lot of people don't really care about cinema. I mean, we still go to we still watch movies, but we don't care to have a media outlet or pay someone to watch movies and review them, because we're not even watching movie reviews anymore. Like, that's, now anybody can go on TikTok and see if they like a movie or not. The art of criticism itself is declining in this country. And honestly, it's because of the lack of intellectualism in our society. People are not critical thinkers as much. People don't want to be challenged as much. People don't want to, care about art and culture in the same ways they used to. And the industry is not trying to pay for it as much anymore either. So there's a lot of changes in the industry, and it's not just with food. You look at it with arts, entertainment, culture. A lot of stuff is changing. I mean, even sports. I mean, sports is about to get the axe. Not the full axe, but the reason why sports have not declined as rapidly is because of the fact that there's a lot of money that can still fund the shit, right? But if restaurants are closing, if the restaurant industry is reducing, a lot of the money from the industry is not able to fuel food journalism in a way that it used to 10 years ago, even 20 years ago. It's on decline. And so, to be clear, I mean, for what kind of work I do, I was always taught, never be a full-time, arts and culture type of writer in this day and age, because those are going to be the first things that get cut. It's like when people talk about DEI gets cut, right? It's the first job that goes. Because people look at it as a novelty rather than a necessity. But I've seen people share things. My good friend Dr. Parks, my bestie, was talking about how people talk about, like, oh, nobody wants to talk about, literary liberal arts, right? Everybody wants to talk about STEM. And there was this TikTok video, some young lady that was talking about how people want to sleep on liberal arts and critical thinking skills and only focus on STEM. But then the people that are in science and tech, they lack the empathy, the cultural, historical understanding and context to be able to actually make sense of what they're seeing. And if you don't have a historical context or framework or ability to understand and analyze data, any cultural competency or any type of critical thinking skills beyond that's science and technology, you're going to repeat history. You're not going to be able to understand trends. You're not going to be able to understand how people actually operate as people, because you lack those humane skills and focus. All of this stuff matters. We all of it does. It helps us understand each other, which also helps us understand data, which also helps protect and save society and civilization as we know it. And the fact that people cannot be able to critically understand. I remember there were folks who used to always trash the communication major. Oh, people used to hate being comms major. Oh, that's the easy major. What's it gonna do with that? Now let me make y'all laugh. I've heard recently that communications is one of the most sought after industries in the world. There are many people looking for communication jobs. It's definitely in the top 5. Like, yes, there's science, medicine, technology, and research, but communication skills, types of jobs are crucial now. Like, now people not only want the scientist or the executive or the business person, but they also need somebody that's going to help them save their ass. Because in this era of council culture, people need to know how to better communicate and get their messages out. Because if your messaging, your marketing fails and flawed, then who gives a fuck what invention you have and nobody knows how to articulate that to the masses. So communication has become valued more because people are recognizing how they've been losing. So my husband and I, we're doing pretty good as comms majors. Comms majors, raise your hand up, okay? Now, I'm not saying English majors don't matter, because they do. Reading and writing, and it does matter. I mean, let's be real. I would say all majors matter to some extent, but I'm just saying that people are realizing, and I think people need to realize how important history is, because even folks that don't even understand history, um, that is starting to hurt. People are having a revisionist history, and if you don't understand history or patterns of behavior in politics and society and health, then you're going to make other mistakes that's going to hurt people. So when people try to play with liberal arts majors and degrees or focuses or things that's in the arts and sciences of the curriculum, or primarily the arts sections and letters sections, I always say, you're going to fuck around and find out. And I think that's the bigger picture here when I think about the direction of our society and even where certain disciplines are going. As far as the food industry goes, and to the person who wrote the story, and to the people that are like low key thinking that their lives are easier because now I'm out of that particular, or they think I'm out of that particular space of competition. This is a warning shot. Consider what's happened here at Eater as a warning shot to all these other food publications, because it's the holidays and these layoffs are coming across the board. I always tell people it's a ripple effect. I remember a couple of months ago in the spring where there was a series of layoffs at other places. Y'all, it's coming. The wall is coming across the board in several specific spaces. And back to sports real quick, because I want to make sure I note sports. If you are noticing the sports broadcasting trend, a lot of the sports anchors and analysts and people that are getting those jobs on the mainstream level are former fucking athletes. There are like Stephen A. Smith might be one of the few non-athletic or athlete sports commentators we have. A lot of them are being replaced, okay, with the Shaquille O'Neals and the Bosches and the Webbs and everybody is trying to do. I mean, look at the Kels family. Travis is doing his thing, but like you look at like his brother. I mean, look what's happening over there. Like they're getting podcast gigs and all kind of stuff. This is what is happening. And Jason Kels is getting sports gigs and stuff already. That used to be, those opportunities used to go to people that was not like dudes that play sports can now be on the verge of getting a CTE, retiring, getting a nice little bag of money, turning around, being a sports broadcaster, analyst, anchor, get gigs and serial gigs, and then the gig continues. So for all of my brothers out here that want to still be in sports journalism, who are you looking up to right now that's doing sports journalism outside of Stephen A. Smith? Name me 10. Big question. Name me 10 sports journalists that you currently aspire to be, or who you would like to be, that is not a current athlete or former coach. I'll wait. I've seen it done with politics. If you look at the CNNs and the MSNBCs, a lot of these people that talk about politics are no longer just political journalists anymore. They are former campaign managers or even former candidates that's run for office. Like, they're no longer actual political writers. Food for thought. Restaurant industry. A lot of these people that is in the journalism spaces getting into these writing positions, they're former cooks and former restaurant people. They're not even folks that are actually food journalists or actual journalists at all. They're people that are people who worked in the restaurant industry, people that are former restaurant owners or whatever. They done moved into taking up some of these spaces. Pay very close attention. The practitioners are now trying to be the writers. The experts are now the employees. Like, everybody is now moving into other spaces and territory. There's no separation between church and state anymore when it comes to this media platforms. And so if you pay attention to these trends, even with like entertainment in Hollywood, a lot of celebrities are now doing red carpet interview hosts. Like, you went from being on the A-list to now on the red carpet interviewing other celebrities. Like now, people who are journalists that want to do interviews, celebrity interviews and stuff, they're now being replaced with actual celebrities. Like B list, not B list, D list celebrities are now turning into red carpet hosts and co-hosts. Have y'all noticed that? Like they no longer are stars, so now they're now trying to be hosts of award shows, interviewers, people that now work for the brands. I mean, think about it. Like, there was a couple back in the day, like Mario Lopez. Mario Lopez used to be an actor. Then Mario Lopez then went to extra. But now you got Claudia Jordan. You got, some of these Real Housewives celebrities. Like, everybody's now branching off. America's Next Top Model. Eva, she wants to act, but then she also wants to do other stuff. Like, they're now branching off into other types of gigs that used to be occupied by journalists. So it's a different industry. We're in a different territory. We're in a different time period now. And I think people just need to stay woke and just pay attention to trends. So, food for thought. But I'm super excited about, what's next. This is a very fun pivot. I appreciate all of you all for reaching out and sending me your heartfelt thoughts and things of that nature. But it's all good. It's all good. And I can't wait to finally reveal this news. This reminds me, actually, this is so funny why I say this. This reminds me of 2018, which I guess was a transformational year on so many fronts. 6 years ago. So I was the LGBTQ editor of Philadelphia Magazine. And I was the editor over a section called G Philly, which was basically the LGBTQ section of Philadelphia Magazine. They decided that, I guess the reporting I was doing for gay news in the city, LGBTQ news, was so mainstream at that point that the idea of having a gay news section like G Philly itself, they felt like just didn't make any sense anymore. And I agree, because at this point, LGBTQ news is news. Like, these conversations around transgender bathroom bans and LGBTQ rights being reversed, all this stuff that's going on that we're hearing about, that stuff is not just simply, okay, go to the gay section and read that, and it's not going to be main news on the site. Like, the segregation of that kind of news just is pointless to me. This should really be mainstream news, right? So they wanted to shutter G Philly, which is what they did. What people did not know, because we didn't announce that immediately, what people did not know is that in that role shifting, I took on a new role as the writer at large for Philadelphia Magazine, and I became the second Black journalist to ever be writer at large at the magazine in their over 110-year history. I will go on to be editor at large and become the first Black editor at large in their over 100 years. First of all, let me clarify that. The first non-white person to ever be their editor at large. And that's still a fact that remains to this day. But back to writer at large. When this happened, it was, at the time, we decided, let's announce the G Philly thing first, that it was shuttering. Let me do my farewells. And then afterwards, I will announce the other announcement, which I was going to announce. But you don't want to put these things together side by side. Kind of like what Biden did when he left, right? When he said he was dropping out the presidential race, he didn't in one spill go, I endorse, Kamala Harris on the same departure. No, he departed first, right? Everybody was sad. Everybody was like, oh my goodness, what's next? And then in a separate memo, he then pushed and backed Kamala Harris. That's how you do it. Now, back to my situation in 2018. When I announced that, there was a fun way of just seeing how people were going to respond and act. And people showed their ass. Oh, they showed their ass. There were people who were just like, oh, good riddance. And, oh, he's gone, y'all. He's gone for good. It was about time. Oh, I'm so happy. And then there were some people, which I'm not even going to name them, but some people that you all might know that messaged me and was like, I'm so happy you're done there. You were just a mess and I didn't like this. No, 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 no. Oh, they showed their whole ass. Some of these PR people did, okay? And that's why some of them I don't fuck with to this day. But they just completely just showed their ass. But what's interesting is that I did say in a very clear way that do not consider this a farewell. There's new opportunities coming along. I was very clear about that. But people just think, oh, that's what typical people say when they lose something. So they were like, oh, you must be fired. You must lost your job. Oh, you a bum. Yeah, yeah. Oh, people really showed their ass. And it was very disappointing. I was like, damn, like, I mean, ooh, okay. But in some ways, I kind of like the mirror effect. I kind of like want to see what people really think. Like, oh, reveal yourselves now in this time. Make your assumptions, show your ass. And there were people that really just was brutal. I mean, they cut me off their guest list. I mean, it was crazy. And mind you, this was like a transitional phase that was like 1 week long. But people quickly within like it was like a complete 180. Completely was just like, bye. And then I announced I was writer at large. And you could hear a pin drop. Oh my goodness. All these people. Oh my goodness. The reversals, y'all. The backpedal. The baby blocked and still blocked. Still blocked. Still not talking to them. Still have them blocked. Like, still not fucking with those people to this day. They know who they are. But like, you only got one time to show me your ass like that. And and it's not like I'm an unforgiving person. I forgive you, whatever that looks like to you, but like, I'm not fucking with you anymore. And I definitely ain't, bye. But that was how there were people that really acted like that. And like, it's just like, y'all don't know how this works, but I guess they don't. And people find out. And in this situation, people are going to find out again. And it's going to be one of those, But the beautiful thing is now is that I definitely am much older. People have noticed how I move and how I transition to things. And it's always a good vibe and it's always, positive and good spirit. So this is going to be one of those experiences. And I just can't wait to share what's next. But on to what's next in our news today. So Biden pardons Biden. Let's start on that. Look, we knew this was going to happen. Well, I'm not as shocked, okay? And so people that don't know, Hunter Biden is being pardoned by Joe Biden. And I don't want to take up too much time to really talk too much about this, but there is some things that need to be said, right? So for starters, look, Biden is Bidening, okay? Yes, he promised that he was not going to pardon his son. But let's be clear. I think the only reason why he did that was because he was trying to save face when it came to, I think he was trying to save face when it came to certain narratives. I think he was, Kamala Harris was running for president. And I think, he did not want, to deal with that impacting her campaign. That's what I think happened. I think he didn't want to deal with anyone, using that against her in her pursuit for president, because they would have said, oh, look at the double standards or whatever. To be honest with you all, I just don't think it's the end of the world. Like, Hunter Biden did not do anything violent. He did not kill anybody. To be honest, the way that the case was high profiled and everybody, if he was not the president's son, y'all, this would have never been front page news. Anyone who gave a fuck. And so to a certain extent, the way that he was sentenced, the way that this was talked about was clearly, I don't know if the word is miscarriage of justice. Maybe that's what they will say. But I just do feel like it was just excessive in its own right. Now, some people say, well, he should never promise that and don't keep it. Okay, people change their mind. I mean, the one thing y'all really should be pissed off with him about, which y'all really ain't, is that Biden said he was going to be a one-term president. And a lot of people voted for Biden with the hopes that he was going to be a one-term president. And so he should have never really entertained running for president at all. He really should have been getting ready to let there be a primary in the spring of this year. That's what he really should have done. He should have never dragged it and did all the other shit that he did. That was fucked up to me. He really should have, not done that. Because he did say he was going to be a one-term president and that he wanted to be a president that was just going to get the country back on track. He did help do that at a certain point. And then he just pretty much reneged. So this man reneged a couple of times. And the thing that y'all are mad at him about reneging on is not the thing that I would be pissed off on him reneging about. I'm more pissed off that he didn't honor the fact that he was going to be one-term president. And that really, if he was going to drop out, he should have dropped out much sooner than he did. But whatever, right? He pardoned his son. Okay, y'all. What, y'all want him to go to jail? Like, how is it going to make it better for anybody, right? Hunter locked up. Well, like, and this whole, well, if I would have pardoned listen, all I'm going to say is, I'm not a father. I don't have a son. If I was in his shoes, I would have want my son to go to jail either. And to be honest, like I said, he should never said he wasn't going to pardon his son, but goddamn it, he didn't know what was going to happen. And let's also be clear. He probably thought, let me say this. At the end of the day, I think it was all in the condition of whether or not Harris is going to be elected or not. Because now that Trump's elected, Trump has sworn that he's going to go after his political enemies. So what that tells me, y'all, is that if Trump was going after his political enemies, you know that Hunter would have been on the menu. So he had to get his son out of that. And I've also heard that he's going to do preemptive pardons for certain people in advance. Because Trump is going out for blood. Trump has already done an interview with Meet the Press, okay, where let's talk about that. He's made some interesting, promises in that interview. He did it with Kristen Welker from Meet the Press. And, I will be honest with y'all, I am not following Trump coverage every single second on the second because it's not looking good on so much stuff. There's some sweeping changes that he's planning to carry out on day one and beyond. He did talk to Kristen Welker from Meet the Press, and he's talking about a mass deportation effort. He's going to impose tariffs. He's big on that. And he's going to pardon many convicted in the January 6th attack, which we knew was going to happen. A lot of y'all are going to say, some people on the internet have said that, well, if Biden pardons his son, he's going to pardon that. Trump, if y'all don't get it by now, Trump is going to do what the fuck he's going to do regardless. So Trump, of course he was going to pardon those January 6 people. And I kind of like that Biden pardoned his son because he said, fuck y'all. Okay, fuck everybody. I'm so annoyed with the double standards. Y'all want to hold Biden to these high standards of decency when, especially some of these people like these Republicans, I don't want to hear anything from y'all about fairness, keeping your word, decency. Please shut up. Please shut up. Please stop. You all are not the moral barometer on what is bad and what is this. And even to hear some of these mainstream media outlets criticize Biden and go after Biden over this stuff, y'all shut up. You all are still trying to act like eggs and milk is the reason why people voted for Trump. Child, they want the circus. And at the end of the day, Biden said, well, fuck it. If y'all don't give a fuck about decency and whatever, let me do what makes sense for me. Sometimes doing the right thing is not the popular thing or the desirable thing, but it makes, goddamn it, protect your son. And he protected his son. And that's what he chose to do. And stop making it just arguing about, well, this is a bad miscarriage of justice. There are some people out here that have supported Trump or given Trump a pass on so much shit that has been fucked up and flawed. And so the level of disdain that y'all are trying to have or want people like me to have for Biden because he pardoned his son, baby, bye. Please, whatever. Now, if Biden was a mass murderer or if Hunter Biden was a mass murderer or an insurrectionist or somebody who did something horrible that really done terror to people, then sure. But Trump is about to pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. How do you feel about that? What y'all gonna say about that? Huh? Nothing? Oh, okay. Because Trump is already saying he's going to deport millions of undocumented immigrants and that he's going to end birthright citizenship. He's going to try to end birthright citizenship. Did you hear me? So for all of you all who were immigrants, who supported Trump and thought that by voting for Trump, that was going to make the border better, oh, baby, your birthright citizenship is now revoked. He's going to come for that too. And he says that he's going to pardon the January 6th rioters on day one, arguing that many of them have endured overly harsh treatment in prison. He said they're living in hell, is how he described it. Hmm. Another important part of this interview that he also made clear is that he says citizens with family here illegally will also be deported. Mm, okay. Also, Trump has said that RFK Jr. will investigate and discredit the link between vaccinations and autism. That's a good thing, y'all. That's a good thing. Because there is no link between vaccines and autism, to be clear. Just want to let y'all know that. For those anti-vaxxers out there, that's a good thing. Trump has said he will most likely pardon those rioters. He also says he will not fire the federal chief, Jerome Powell, which people are happy about. And he also says he thinks that Pete Hegseth can be confirmed. Now, there's been speculation. Now, Pete Hegseth, we've been talking about him for the past couple of weeks on this show. This is the man who's been accused of sexual assault, and there's been several concerns about his drinking in the press and by his coworkers, as reported by national media outlets. But what I want to say about the Pete Hegseth thing is that there's been speculation that Trump has been looking for someone to replace him in the event it does not happen. But Trump also argues that he thinks that the confirmation will happen and it can happen once he gets, officially sworn in. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, he's been making some very interesting decisions. I mean, Kash Patel, is going to be, his guy, which is somebody that a lot of people are concerned about. If you don't know who Kash Patel is, Kash Patel is the guy that they want to be over the FBI. That's crazy. That's crazy. This man should not be nowhere near the FBI, but he's going for it. And, he stuck out with his guy. If anything, I feel like the Trump administration, the Trump era is a lesson in loyalty, or a profile in loyalty. I ain't saying courage, because there's nothing courageous about these people, but it is a message in loyalty. It's a profile in loyalty, that if you stay with your man, no matter what, you too can reap the benefits when it's your time. That has been the case for people who have been loyal to me and my leadership. That's the case for a lot of people. You got to take a bet. And there are people who took a bet on Trump and they won with Trump. And there are people who did not, and they are paying the price. America's paying the price, y'all. Or not. It was a slim margin. The majority, Trump won the popular vote, but by a small, small margin. That margin is getting smaller each time, okay? And it's very telling what's going on. But I also want to make sure I'm making note that these appointments, y'all, like, everybody's fighting, but it's very telling. So telling that I want to also mention, this is a big one, the House. It's official. For the first time in a long time, the Republicans have now control of the White House, the Supreme Court, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. They have it all, baby. They have it all. But that being said, there's a caveat. And this is an important caveat that I must mention, because this caveat is important to mention here. This, when they say, don't be so quick, hold my beer. The majority of the current Senate situation, not the Senate, the House, is that this is the smallest House majority in history. Let me break down what I mean by that. Right now, the Republicans and the Democrats, the Republicans have a 220 to 215 majority in the House of Representatives. Baby, that's 5. That's a 5-person difference. But oh wait, there's more. It ain't over yet, y'all. Once the House representative Elise Stefanik of New York and Mike Waltz of Florida resigned to take jobs within the Trump administration. And also, let me go on, Matt Gaetz is already claiming he's not going to return to Congress. They will lose 3 additional seats, which means that the new majority will be 217 to 215. They're on par with the narrowest controlling margin in the House history. A 2-person majority. Do you want to know why this may sound familiar to you all? This is the difference in the current Pennsylvania State House. There's a 1-person majority in the Pennsylvania State House. The Democrats have the majority of the State House by 1 representative. Let me tell you something why this is serious. And this is about reporting that was been reported in the New York Times and elsewhere. If all the Democrats, let's say they were all showed up and they're uniform in their support, okay? We ain't got no haters, right? Because you know how we do. We got, Joe Manchin, but he's a senator, right? But if all the Democrats show up in support and they ain't got no beef with each other and they unified together, right? Mr. Johnson, not my Johnson, but House Speaker Mike Johnson, he won't be able to afford a single deflection on the House floor until those vacancies are filled in the spring. And even then, once the vacancies are filled in the spring, even then, no more than 3 Republicans can break ranks without dooming a single bill's passage. Ladies and gentlemen, they're fucked. Slightly. This is why Ernestly Speaking matters. This is why this podcast matters. Because some of y'all like to doom scroll. And I get it. It is bad. Shit does look a little bleak. I ain't gonna hold you. But there's always a silver lining here. Now, do you all remember, the 3 branches of government? And fun fact, when I was in high school, I was in a musical called Schoolhouse Rock Live. And my character was George. And George sung a song, I'm Just a Bill. And I sung that song very well, and I won an award for my performance. Yes, I won a regional theater award for my performance as George in high school, in a Schoolhouse Rock, not High School Musical, Freudian slip. So, if you all remember I'm Just a Bill, bills go through committees. Then bills go through the House. And then once bills go through the House, bills go through the Senate. And then bills go from the Senate to then going to the desk of the president, which is President Trump. If the bill can't even make it from the fucking House, it can't go to the Senate and it can't go to damn Trump. So, what that means is that there's a lot of fucking gridlock. And what I will tell you all is that the Republicans are not united. The Republicans are not united. So there can be a case where there might be 2 or 3 Republicans. There's going to be some serious maneuvering right now. Democrats, now is not the time to be divided. Because if y'all hold y'all foot down and go nay, this could get tricky. If one of them gets sick, one of them call out absent, anything can change. I've seen it happen with the Pennsylvania, with the Philadelphia delegation, right? The Pennsylvania House Representative. Listen, there's a reason why Almond Brown, that state rep, one in West Philly, gets to walk around with some pep in his step, because they cannot afford for Almond to defy them on decisions. That's why they've been nice to him. Because he literally can stand the difference between something being in a tie or something not going through. Because they still got that one person majority. And so if Almond Brown says, fuck y'all, I'm not doing it, they're going to be in trouble. If either progressives or somebody deters or defers, it can be shaky. That's a lot of power. So they got to be nice to everybody in their damn caucus or they're screwed. That is the case with Republicans. Mike Johnson Woo! I wouldn't want it if I was you, because he's entering a very divided House. And I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if the Republicans can unify enough, because now all eyes are on Democrats. If any of you all miss a vote that could have basically stopped the bill from passing or going through that's from Trump, I'm looking at which one of you all did not have that perfect attendance or fucked up, and I want to know who y'all are, because I'm going to make sure y'all don't get voted in. You might lose your seat this time if you don't do perfect attendance. Stop going to these fundraisers and show up to fucking work. That is what I'm getting right now. That Congress people on both sides cannot afford to be taking off vacations. Y'all better make sure y'all show up and show out, because there are situations where a bill may not get passed or could get passed depending on who shows up and who don't. They do not have a comfortable majority. See, a comfortable majority means you can afford to move some shit. This is a nail biter. They are right now being squeaked by literally 2 votes. 2 votes can determine the outcome. That's crazy. So they're going to need to be some unison. All 200 and something people going to have to be in uniform unison. Shout out to the Democrats, though, for not giving them, for fighting a good fight. Because elections do matter. They never won the House, but they got closer than they've been before. Which tells me something. And this is what I'm going to say, because I am optimistic. Sometimes a little too optimistic. But I'm going to say this in a sense of optimism, y'all. One thing that makes me happy about this as well is that we got the midterms in 2026. They're coming, y'all. The midterms are coming. And I'm excited because there's an opportunity that the Democrats can take back the House. They could. They could. And they could, in my opinion. I don't think they can take back the Senate. That's going to require 4 more years. But I do think they can take back the House. And they take back the House, that's a good thing, because they can stop any goddamn thing Trump is going to be trying to do or trying to pass and give Trump hell. That's why the Democratic majority in the Senate in some cases were not that helpful. And the gag is that when it could have been helpful, it wasn't, because, well, it kind of was in some cases, because they helped with the appointments to make sure that the appointments. So the Republicans are going to control the appointments, and they could potentially do, but they have to have a 2/3. But they help with appointments, right? The Senate does do that. They will help with Supreme Court appointments, right? So those things are crucial. And so having a Senate majority, I mean, we just got to make sure Sotomayor and other members, the Democrats that we do have in the Supreme Court, stay healthy and well until we have a Democrat as president. But we don't know how long that's going to take. That might be another 4 years. Who knows? But it is important to note this, because what I'm getting at is that if Trump's administration really crashes out and really do some fucked up stuff that he's planning to do, which I do think he will do some of those things, I will see voters having instant voter remorse. And I can see them saying, you know what, I can't do this. And if they give the power back to the Democrats for the House, and then also cut off and slice off some of the potential Senate seat races, right? You can see a situation where, who knows, maybe in 2028, the Democrats could take back the Senate, the White House, and also maintain the House. It's possible. Because what I think is going to happen is this conversation around tariffs. If the cost of living raises up, which it will definitely will based on them tariffs, I can see some real, I can see some real problems. So, I'm optimistic. I'm keeping my eyes open, but I am also optimistic, but I'm also keeping my eyes open, as I said before. It ain't over until it's over, is how I view it. But that is very telling. Some other interesting news, which I like, but Some people might be sad about it. TikTok, the TikTok ban. The TikTok ban is still in place. January 21st, if will be the TikTok will be banned if they do not sell to an American distributor. It looks like right now the courts are still saying that it's in place and it's in effect. That basically by the time we get another president, like as of right now, the policy is in place. If TikTok does not sell to a American buyer or seller, where in which the United States can regulate the app, then TikTok will be bye-bye. Okay, TikTok, boom, it will be gone. If they do not make that decision soon. So TikTok might be gone, y'all. Like, it could happen. I mean, I don't know if TikTok is ready to sell outside of China. I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. That's going to be very interesting. But TikTok will be banned in the US. Y'all will not be able to use TikTok. And that's why I never put my energy into TikTok, because there may not even be a TikTok. So the whole obsession over TikTok is just going to be go bye-bye. Also, I don't think Trump is going to save TikTok at all, because it doesn't help with his whole tariff narrative on imposing tariffs on China. So it looks like he would also not care if the TikTok is banned, because they don't care. And also that would go against and compromise everything that he's trying to do with China anyway. So unless the TikTok owners decide to sell it to a U.S. company by January 2021, it's going to be, I'm not 2021, but by January 21st, it's going to be donezo for them. And the courts have upheld it. So that's that. People are like, oh, that's going to be terrible. Y'all already know how I feel about TikTok. Bring it on. Might be the one bipartisan thing I can agree with. Because I've been saying this. I am concerned about TikTok and the data that they do have. There is some real concerns there, y'all. I know y'all like your little videos and your little shit, but at some point you gotta stop being entertained and be informed, right? Like, entertainment can't justify all of the security risk and the breach of privacy and other issues, okay? And also the surveillance that's taking place with that app. So I'm not really feeling it. I'm not. It's a red flag for me. It's a no for me. But moving along. So let's talk about the UnitedHealthcare CEO killing. So many thoughts. A man in his 50s have died. He was killed, and it was unfortunate. The CEO of UnitedHealthcare, which is one of the big healthcare providers in the country, he was killed in what really looked like a executionary style shooting. It looked like it was a planned attack. It's everything about it is, it feels like an episode of Law and Order. It's not good. There's been a lot of conversations, debate about the cause of the killing. There has also been, at the bullet wounds apparently said repeal, replace, repeat, which I've heard about that term. And the bullets said apparently written repeal, replace, repeat. The bullets that killed the CEO. This has caused a lot of shock and scare within the healthcare community, within CEOs across the country. There have been a lot of CEO websites that have removed the name and the name or the identities of their CEOs in fear that there could be some potential attack or targeting of sorts. It does look like this was a targeted killing, and one that was intentional. This man was killed in cold blood. And, there's a lot of people that is, there's mixed emotions about it, right? There's people that's like, that's sad. This is a man that died, and had different feelings. There's also been a conversation like about changes with other healthcare policies, because, there was a situation about one, company, healthcare provider, said they was not going to fully provide, any services for people who get anesthesia. And I was like, what? Like, how does that work? That you're going to reduce benefits for people who might not, like, what? So Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield was planning to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield was planning to reverse a plan to they reversed their plan to limit anesthesia coverage. And that was disgusting. There's now a new House bill that's being proposed to ban insurers from limiting anesthesia coverage. But like, how brutal and disgusting that would be. So a big insurer has backed off its plan to pay less for anesthesia. Now some people think that's good and bad. There's been different policy experts that have viewed their opinions. But they said that the tumult, some reporters said the tumult was misguided. They said that Americans have many justified grievances when insurance companies, which is often their refuse to cover necessary care. But people don't realize that the policy would have cost anesthesiologists, not the enrollees. People don't know that it would have been enrollees that would have not been the ones facing the cost, but anesthesiologists. And anesthesiologists are billed partially on the basis of how long a procedure takes place. So this creates an incentive for anesthesiologists to err on the side of exaggerating how long their services were required during an operation. So there's again, allegedly, but there has been concerns over the years that anesthesiologists are the ones, they're the ones who their services they build are on the basis of how long a procedure takes. So let's say you get a certain procedure, right? Your insurance situation is based on it, right? What people don't understand about Senator Murphy's claims, the policy would have not saddled patients with surprise bills if their operations went over time. That was not what was going to happen. And these are the facts, and this is why this matters. There's issues with it, right? There's been reporters, at Vox, they reported on this and said that the burden of this cost control would have fallen on participating anesthesiologists, not their patients. And that's a research professor of health administration. His name is Christopher Garman, who is an associate professor of health administration at the University of Missouri, Kansas City's Henry W. Block School of Management. Okay, that all the titles. But there's an important note to make. Providers, not insurance companies, are the primary drivers of high insurance costs. Okay? Not insurance companies, but providers. They're the primary drivers of high health care costs, and people don't be knowing that. So there's a lot of misinformation there, but I want to be sure about it. But nonetheless, because again, people thought they won, but Anthem Blue Cross did reverse the plan, so there will be no limit to anesthesia coverage, even though that would have been a different result. And people said the policy would have had limited anesthesia periods, but it was a little bit misconstrued in the public eye. And it's also because of the way that it was covered. I see it different ways. I see it very different ways. I see why people like myself, right, who have an insurance plan would have been frustrated. I understand the fear of what that looked like. But I say all this to say that I do think the reversal, in my opinion, was based on that killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO. Now, interesting enough, the killer has not been found. There's been images of him, but they have not been strong images. He's been covered in his mouth. All you can see is his, he has a face mask on. He's not black. Even though initially police allegedly said, they have said things like, oh, well, he was light-skinned. Baby, light-skinned. Let's use our words. That man is not light-skinned. That man is not black, baby. Light-skinned applies to black. He's not black. He's not a light-skinned black man, baby. He is either white or he's either white or, another type of identity, but he is not black. So we need to use our words properly and use our, make sure we get that right. He is a white man. or a non-black man, because I don't know, maybe he got some mix of something else. But facts matter is what I'm trying to get to. Because some of y'all go out here, ready to throw hands, and we need to be clear on what it is and what it isn't. But also too, there are some important details to get out. My good friend Wendy Wilson has been covering this, giving what she considers her friendly neighborhood update about what's been happening with the shooting of the UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. So Brian Thompson is the CEO, or was the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. And some details matter. There's been reporting that him and his wife lived in separate houses for quite some time. He made $110 million a year in this position. He lived in $1 million house. She lived in $1 million house. It was reported that he had a criminal record. I said, oh, they're not just covering the brothers' backgrounds now. They're covering everybody's background. He had a DUI several years ago. I mean, this is all irrelevant to right now. But, this is how the media do. And apparently there was a bomb threat at his house as well. But we don't know all the details pertaining to that. But, the family is in shambles. He is a father. He leaves behind, young children and also a wife. They live in Minnesota. And this is a lot, right? Now, as far as we know, details about the suspect and situation, this guy used a fake New Jersey ID. He stayed at a hostel on the Upper East Side. Apparently, he roomed with two other strangers who said they did not know who he was prior. He was at the hostel before the murder, and that's where the police grabbed some blurry images that's been posted everywhere. He used a silencer for a gun. He wore a $300 book bag. And apparently, he backpacked everywhere. It's a book bag, but I guess a backpack to people who do not live in New York. So yeah, I call it a backpack, but it was around $330. Apparently, the police found a phone near the murder site that they think could belong to him. But that's wild. Another interesting fact, I want to call it a fun fact, but the price search for him was initially $10,000, but it's going up to $50,000. And some people are pissed off about that because another shooter who killed an innocent young black man at the West Indian Day Parade in September in New York is still at large. And that event was with cops, drones, and cameras everywhere, and they still can't find that guy. And the reward to find that killer is at $10,000 when this guy's has went up. But what we have also found out about this situation with the killer is that he took a gypsy cab, not Uber or Lyft, which is why there's no partition there. That's why part of his body and a lot of stuff has been covered. We can't see everything. Another major aspect to this is that he took a cab to Washington Heights in New York after the shooting, got on a bus from the George Washington bus terminal, and then hightailed it out of NYC. So this is all how he got out of there. And this is also another one because the shooter apparently, the NYPD is working with the police in Atlanta because apparently that's where he was before coming to New York. And so people are trying to figure out, did he return back to Atlanta or is he just chilling somewhere else? Also, they did find that $300 backpack, that $330 backpack that I was talking about. And when they looked inside, it contained a bunch of Monopoly money, like Monopoly as in the Monopoly game. Very interesting. Very telling. It's giving, it's giving some type of Stephen King thriller, John Gibson murder killer, some Law and Order situation. But also, what has also been very telling is this is very hard because the new police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, this situation has left them scratching their heads. She's got to find him because if she does not, it makes it look bad for the NYPD and all that money that we sell people. Yeah, everybody say fund the police. You all are funding the police, and this is what the best they can do. But nonetheless, there's been a lot of heartless responses. People have described these situations as heartless. They're talking about how 30 men showed up to a lookalike contest in Washington Square Park on Saturday. They showed up dressed as a suspect. Nobody is sure who won or what the prize money was, but 30 people showed up and did a lookalike contest. Now, to remember, this has been trending lately. There was a lookalike contest of Timothy Chalamet in New York. There was one for Miles Teller. This is the actor who was in Whiplash. This happened in Rittenhouse Square. There was a Miles Teller lookalike contest for that actor. But now it's like a theme. Like everyone's doing like lookalike contests. Like I wonder if they have a Jake Gyllenhaal lookalike contest or a Mario Hardwick from Power. Like it's got to be someone that looks like, and there's no shade. Like the lookalike contest for the United Healthcare CEO killer, that was fucked up. But I think they're looking for people like Miles Teller. If you actually seen how he looks, that looks like insert any decent looking white guy like in their 30s or whatever that's in town. Like I know a lot of people that look like Miles Teller actually, which is funny. And it's like the funny like lookalike contest. Like Timothy Chalamet, now he has a unique look. Like he has a unique look. Like, he does look, you know, whatever. Who looks like a lot of people like people talk about Glenn Powell. I know a lot of white guys who like Glenn Powell. I don't know. He doesn't like have a unique look. I know a lot of guys like Ansel Elgort as well. Like I feel like a lot of white guys look like Glenn Powell and Ansel Elgort, Elgort, that actor. A lot of people like. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I know a lot of people that look like Glenn Powell. Even though he's like a popular actor, a lot of people like him. I feel like Jonah Hill looks familiar. Like a lot of people like Jonah Hill. I'm just saying. I just feel like they should look if there was ever lookalike contests. Like if I was to pick like white women, like Kate Mara looks like 10 white women I know. That's not shade, it's just a thing. It's just true. It is. Trying to find like what are some familiar black people like that I know that looks like a lot of people. Interesting enough, I think we should do a Malcolm X contest. There's a lot of guys that look like Malcolm X. I know a couple of Kappas that look like Malcolm X. MLK, a little harder. There's a few familiar faces. We should have a Mike Nutter contest. There's a lot of black men that look like Michael Nutter. Just saying. Even Kenyatta Johnson. There's a lot of black men that look like Kenyatta Johnson in the face. Not the body height position, but in the face. And Curtis Jones as well. We should have a Curtis Jones lookalike contest. I'm just saying, like, there's some interesting lookalikes and some doppelgangers out here. Just saying. Just random. Just putting it out there. But above all of that, there's been a lot of talk about the way that people have been reacting around this. There's people saying that the killer looks hot. There's a lot of TikTok girls, like, fawning over him, which is weird and bizarre. And SNL has done a skit, dragging people about their obsession with this killer. But this reminds me of something I've been saying for quite some time. And I think we've reached this part as a society. I'm going to just keep it on a beam. I think that the suspicions of why he was killed, the CEO was murdered in cold blood, in an executioner style way, is because of speculation around coverage. Apparently, the wife said there was some threats and some concerns around his ability to provide coverage for people and things like that. It's almost like a John Q situation. If y'all remember the movie John Q with Denzel Washington. Healthcare in this country has been a problem for a long time. And the capitalism of it has become a problem. I've told people that evil will backfire in ways that we don't expect. And what I mean by that is that you're going to get this Gotham type of society where you're rooting for the bad guy, like the Joker, right? And it's because of a response to social societal unrest. Meaning that when you get to a point in society where you make people, and I've been saying this to people about layoffs and AI and all this stuff, when corporations get super greedy, when people begin to feel helpless, when you begin to take everything from everybody and no decent everyday person seems like they can win. And there are people that are getting wealthy and wealthier. And there's people that feel like they're completely hopeless and despair with no sense of optimism whatsoever. They will begin to act out. That is literally the basis of Lord of the Flies. Like when you put people in positions where they literally, it's an allegory right here that we're witnessing. When people begin to feel like there is no way that they can get any resources, any help, any sense of a win, they will completely erupt and they will act out and lash out in ways that will feel unfair and ridiculous and bizarre. And so we are entering potentially an era where now the everyday person is like, wait a minute. So I am supposed to sit up and do my job. I don't make enough money. I don't have benefits. I cannot help my kids. My kids are dying. And I am seeing these people walk around with millions of dollars living their best life, and there is no sense of resources to help me. Somebody's got to pay. And we're at the point where we're starting to see people lash out, where they're like, you know what? It looks like the bad guys keep winning, or they think the bad guys are winning, right? That they're like, you know what? I want other people to have to go through what I have to go through. Maybe they'll think twice. Maybe this is the vigilante stunt I have to pull to make people wake up and act right. And so one man decided that he was going to take it out on this guy and kill a CEO, which was ruthless, which is horrible, which is a bad thing. But this is where we are in society, where people begin to feel like they don't have any hope or anything, that now they begin to kill innocent people and kill people in positions of power. And so there are folks that are rooting on this man because they are feeling the frustrations of being in a world where this should not be. That people should be able to have affordable health care or be able to get access to health care. And that the fact that we are living in a society where people are paying absorbent amounts of money for insulin and for, well, not anymore because of Biden, but the potential of the Affordable Health Care Act being reversed, that now that healthcare prices can go up because they're trying to cut back. If you think that a society of people are going to sit back and let the government or let people in power or let companies and corporations and CEOs screw them completely over, and they're not going to act out in some type of way, guess again. And while I support, let me be very clear, I don't support violence. I support people's right to protest, right? What would have looked like if there was a protest outside of that company or whatever? But even protests are beginning to feel, worthless. Now people are starting to infringe upon people's free speech. Now people can't even protest anymore. So now free speech and actual abilities for people to protest in nonviolent ways is not even being encouraged. Now people are fearing for their lives to protest. Now protesters are scared they're going to get killed if they protest, or that even the idea of doing that comes with retaliation consequences. So now people feel like violence is the way to go. And so now we're seeing a possibility that more helpless people are going to respond to violence with violence. They're going to respond to it, that there's going to be an increase. Like, this is where we are at. And honestly, this is what the Trump regime has encouraged, right? Like, if you thought January 6th was going to be the end all be all, we have seen assassination attempts at a higher rate than we've seen since. We are now about to see a situation where the very super rich are now going to be under attack because people are getting upset and fed up. See, it was at one point where people said, okay, maybe I can make a decent living. I don't got to be wealthy, but now you can't even be poor. Like, everybody it's just too much inequity. And when you ever see a sense of societal inequity, there is a base of people that will snap and snap in ways that they may have not, because they are feeling so much. You can never put people under the ground. You can never put society so bad. It cannot be that bleak, because when it do, it gets ugly. And now that people have seen results, look at the response from corporations. Like Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield reversing their plan, I don't think that's a coincidence. The fact that now major companies are now beginning to fall back on certain crazy decisions, even some of which are now deciding, like, do I want to scale back and make whatever? Because there was some heartless executive decisions, and now there are certain CEOs that are of these major companies that are now beginning to say, let me hide my information. They don't even want to be known. There were times where CEOs used to love to say, I'm the boss. Put me on a Fortune 500 company. Put me on the list. Put me on the charts. Now some of them are like rescinding and being low key. They don't even want to have that kind of attention. Interesting times we're living in. People that voted for Trump, endorsed these policies, thought about their money, put profits over people. This buyer's remorse thing is getting real. There may need to be some acquiescing. The greed is taking its toll. And here we are. So, moving along. This week's Ask Ernest. Well, before I get to this week's Ask Ernest, the 76ers arena and some other things. So before I get to the 76ers arena, Pennsylvania Society happened this past weekend. You know, a lot of people were asking me, you know, are you going to go? Or, you know, all this, was I going to go and all this? I did not go, clearly. I was not there. For those who don't know about the Pennsylvania Society, it is a long-time tradition where Pennsylvania legislators and their lobbyists go to New York, of all places. Used to be in a Waldorf Astoria, but now it's taken a hiatus. It's in the Hilton in New York, somewhere in Hilton, I believe. And it will be back eventually at the Waldorf when that gets repaired. But this is a place of dinners and ceremonies and hobnobbing with politicians and things. I didn't go because I don't fucking care. I think, listen, the Democrats didn't really win anything. Okay? The Democrats are under complete what they should be is in reconstruction mode. Y'all go down to PA for what? To do what? I mean, I get the lobbyists. The lobbyists are going to lobby. But some of these people that like to go to stuff like this and show off like, oh, I'm in this VIP thing. Read the fucking room. I say this all the time, but it's just like it's like literally the catch-all phrase for decency and common sense in this era. Read the fucking room. Seriously. Like, look, before you talk. Catch a wave, catch a vibe, get a sense of things. Like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, if you're a Democrat, if you're part of that, if you're blue, baby, what are you going there for? You're over here, oh, look at me, I'm drinking champagne. Look at me, I'm over here in this black car. Nobody fucking cares. Again, like I said earlier, we're in this era, both, right? We're in this era where powerful people that are not like doing good for people, that are not meaningfully trying to make an impact, nobody wants you to like flash your riches. People want to see good people win. People want to see people beat the system. People want to see good leaders that are really going to spread wealth and opportunity and access. Like, that's what I'm about. If you're not trying to be a Robin Hood or try to be a good saint, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Especially when there's so many unanswered questions. You better come back with resources and solutions before you come back telling us about all the little things you did and no one cares. And then that goes for black leaders too. I think a lot of black politicians keep trying to act like they're the exception to the rule. I mean, while it's not our fault about Trump, if you're in a position of power as a Democrat and you're black, people are going to ask questions about what role did you play? Because some of y'all were gatekeepers and trying to help Kamala Harris win. Some of y'all were too busy trying to get your pictures and your selfies and not give her proper access to certain places. I still am baffled that with all of the black political power, capital, connection that people claim, and all this love for black media, that the fact that Kamala Harris did not do an interview on WRD radio when she ran for president is the most ridiculous, disgusting, annoying, what the fuck moment I have ever experienced and seen. Because for all the people that can flex and brag about how they was in the Harrison, campaign, how they knew this, that, the fact that y'all didn't allow that to happen shows me that you don't either have the juice or you didn't give a fucking care or you was doing something else. But there's just no way to me. And so that's how you measure power. Because if you're going to talk about how influential you are, please name people you've helped put on. Please tell me opportunities that you provided for people. Because anytime I was in a position of power and influence, baby, where do I start? Some of y'all can't say the same. Some of y'all can't say the same. Some of y'all can't tell me what jobs you've provided people. Some of y'all can't tell me who did y'all literally put on. Some that was not someone you was fucking, let's be very clear. Somebody was your cousin, your brother, right? You can't tell me resources that you've really provided people without any quid pro quo. Because the quid pro quos don't count. You got to take the quid pro quos out. I'm talking about giving it to people without actual conditions or requests. Name them. Because I can name them. I can name them. I lose track. There are people that come up to me and ask me questions and send me letters. And I'm like, oh, I did do that. I forgot about that. Do it like that. But there's a lot of y'all who don't. And PA society is so fucking transactional and so fake. And there's people that just love to be in the room. But at a certain point, when are we going to own the building? At a certain point, listen, if you are the person in the room, if that's what it is for you, when are you going to be the person giving the people general admission? At some point, the VIP of it all gets played out if it's not invested in doing something. You went there, what did you do? Because I like to go too, but when I go, I bring friends. Did you bring a friend? Did you bring someone in? Did you each one teach one? Did you bring someone and learn how to fish? What are we doing? What are we doing? These are my questions for stakeholders. Benefactors, stay put. Stakeholders, what are we doing? Because this is getting played out. This is getting played out. And if you're not a stakeholder, stop acting like you are. It's a lot of flexing too. It's a lot of people that walk around acting like they decision makers and ball shot callers. No, you not. You the damn assistant. And there's nothing wrong with being an assistant. Okay, let me be very clear. There's nothing wrong with being an assistant. What's wrong is when you're an assistant acting like you a stakeholder and people don't know what you are. If you're the hired help. But don't act like you're the boss. Because we got to make sure we ain't set tripping and we ain't false playing over here and cosplaying over here. It's important to understand who you are in a situation. And listen, we always play different roles. Sometimes you can be the stakeholder in one situation and sometimes you're the assistant. Lord knows I am. I've been assistants in situations. I've been, the help in situations. And sometimes I've been the baller and the shot caller. I'm not always a boss in everything I'm in. Sometimes I have to play different roles so I can learn how to get into that role or get promoted in that role or excel in the role that I already am. But some people play different. Some people be out here lying. And I don't like that. I don't like it. When people call me, if I can do it, I can do it. If I'm not in a position I can do it, I say, look, I can't do that. Some people might be calling me, asking me how they can be a part of a certain fraternity. I'd be like, listen, baby, I can't be your sponsor recommender. All I can be is a person. I can put in a good word to somebody who may help you, but I can't be the decision maker at the table. You asking the wrong person. Like, sometimes you got to be clear about what your capabilities are. There's a lot of people, I really want to name names, but the list is too long. But there's a lot of people that walk around this city that's in some rooms and they ain't got no ability to make any calls because there was a call for them to get in the room. They were the favor. They ask you, can you do me a favor? Baby, they can't do you a favor because they the favor for somebody else. They can't even do the favor for you. They were the favor. In the words of my good girl Oprah, were you silenced or were you silenced? Let me say this again. Can you do a favor or are you the favor? Because some people are the favor and they can't do you a favor. You can't plus one as a plus one, baby. You the plus one. You can't plus one a plus one. So we got to understand that difference. Because there's a lot of people that play in all these multiple roles. Stop it. Cut it out. Cut the cap is what they say. Cut the cap. That's what I like to say. Cut the cap. Because there's a lot of people capping out here about what they can do and what they do and who they know. Cut it out. Immediately. It needs to be said. It needs to be said because I've seen too many people capping. And it's high time that we begin to tell it. So there are times where folks will call me and say, hey, Ernest, do you know this person? I'll be like, yeah, I know this person, blah, 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 blah. And they'll say, well, I said, listen, they are connected, but they're not a connector. They're connected, but they're not a connector. And you got to let people know off the jump. And they get their feelings hurt sometimes. They be like, oh, damn. Well, I like them. I said, we can like them. I ain't say they're a bad person. I'm just saying they're not going to be the person that's going to get you to what you want. Because, listen, one thing about me, I'm going to have the answers for you. The answer going to go this way. I'm either going to tell you the answer or I'm going to tell you who might have the answer. I feel like I'm educated enough that 99% of the time, I can either give you the answer or tell you who has the answer. That's how I work. If you ask me about something to somebody, whatever, very seldom am I completely blanked out. In most situations when people ask me. Because most times when people ask me, most times people are thoughtful when they ask me. And if I don't know, I don't know. But I'll say that. But like a lot of times I either have an answer or I say, look, I don't know the answer, but this person might be the best person for you. That's how I operate. When it comes to friends and associates and folks like that in the community. Like if you ask me a question, either I have the answer or I know who has the answer. Cause yeah, that's typically how I operate. And if somebody asks me a question about a certain person or something, if I know the truth, I'm gonna tell the truth. Unless it's one of my friends, and I'll be like, listen, I don't think they feeling you like that, buddy. I may not say it like that, but I might tell them, how about this way? I had a situation recently where there was a person that was asking me about a favor for a friend that I knew my friend doesn't care much for this person, and that's a right reason. But what I did was I was like, I don't necessarily know if they're the best person to talk to about that. They were technically the best person to talk about that, but I gave them an alternative person to reach out to because I knew that one, my friend doesn't want to be bothered, and two, you wasn't gonna say so-and-so referred me to you because I ain't gonna get messy. What I did was I just put that person somewhere else and they got what they needed and it wasn't any problems and my friend didn't even have to be bothered with them and they shit and it all worked out for everybody involved. Sometimes you gotta do it that way if you do know, okay? Don't always belabor your friend or ask your friend for a favor that ain't got nothing to do with you or benefit you, but put them through distress. Message. So, so Pennsylvania Society happened, but as Pennsylvania Society was taking place, we still don't know all the details pertaining to 76 Arena. What we do know is that there will be a final vote. I do think the 76 Arena will happen. If something changes, y'all, I will keep y'all posted, but it's looking like it's going to happen, right? But the suspense continues. One important thing that I want to note, because a lot of people have been having some confusions about what's going on, what's not going on. I get it, right? Some important stuff to note. Let me just sidebar by saying, like in Pennsylvania, I'm going to actually stay foot. So Philadelphia City Council leadership, they postponed the initial vote on whether to approve the proposed 76 Arena in Center City. They're moving a scheduled meeting, which was supposed to happen early this week. It's going to take place next week as negotiations over the controversial project will continue. And that was reported by local media outlets in Philadelphia and across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So let me explain this, right? The reason why it's postponed, and this is the T. This is the T for y'all, and y'all can go back and whatever, okay? The T is that I'm hearing from the streets that not everybody in city council is okay with the community benefits agreement as it currently is. That there are some people that are not fully sold on it. And until this community benefits agreement situation gets hashed out and there are some concessions, then there are some members of city council that are not necessarily comfortable with supporting it or at least helping it move to the next level. So until there are some deals made, maybe deals to improve the community benefits agreement or some individual backdoor political deals that I guess is going to happen, because I've also heard, let me be very clear, allegedly, but I've also heard, I heard it and I really could confirm it, but I'm going to keep it cute, that there are some members of city council that I think want some backdoor deals from the 76ers people. I think they want them, they want some rubs, okay? They want some allegedly, but they want some other deals and some other stuff they got going on. And unless they get some deals cut, they might be withholding their own support around this arena until certain deals go through for them. That is what I have been sensing, and that is what I've also been hearing from some close insiders in city council. What I will say is it's about damn time. And I also think maybe they went a little too late, but maybe it's a little soon. I don't know. But I feel like they're at a point where they look at themselves and I say to myself, is this the best y'all can fucking do for Philly? Like, seriously. And I told this to Curtis Jones. He was on WRD on my show for City Council Live on Thursday. And we had a really great conversation. And he's a fair man. I don't really have any issues with Curtis. He agreed with me. I said, is this the best that y'all can do? I need y'all to go down there and get the best deal y'all can. If the arena is going to happen, you better get the best damn deal you can for Philadelphians. Because the deal is trash. And if y'all let them get away with this whack ass deal right now, if y'all let them get away with this whack ass deal, and I'm going to say it again, this whack ass deal, then honestly, like, you ain't got no backbone. Y'all better leverage this. Leverage it. Because if they want it as bad as they say they want it, then it should happen. But see, this is what I think. And this is the scary part. Y'all want to know? This is scary to me. I feel like the 76ers arena don't give a fuck. There's a part of me that's like, look, we going to do what we want to do because we ain't that desperate. Because honestly, if y'all don't let us have the deal the way we want it, we're going to go to Camden. And I feel like the real leg and the real ringing is that I think that the mayor does not want this to lose this because she doesn't want to lose this. I think there's a part of her does not want to lose this deal because now that she's put her neck up in it, she doesn't want it to fall. Partially. I mean, the villains could be the 76ers. To a certain extent, if they pull out and decide that they don't want to work the deal, then she could skate on that and say, look, I tried. And she could blame city council. So she could be spared a little bit from this, from the blowback, because at the end of the day, we don't really know her hand. I mean, we really don't really know how she really feels. I can't read her. I think you all think that she might be gung-ho for it, but there's a part of me that kind of feels like she's just doing what she has to do. Or I don't want to say doing what she has to be told. That may sound, I don't want to say that. But I do feel like there's a sense of her, and somebody might say, nah, you was right the first time, Ernest. Shut up. I can't say that on this. I'm not going to say that. But maybe I'm right. I do feel like there's a part of her that feels like she needs to go through with the plan because she did step out and she did endorse it. So there's a part of me that feels like there to some degree, she does want to see it succeed to a certain extent. But maybe she doesn't care if it does or it doesn't. So maybe she's not fully invested on whether it do or it don't. She probably just doesn't give a fuck either way. But now that she's in it, she's got to see it through because that's what leaders do. If she's going to go out there and she's going to propose this, I do think she does really do want to see it get executed for the sake of what it is, because that's what she has to preserve. She has to push. But either way, I think she doesn't give a fuck personally. Maybe that's what my bag is. My bid is. Like, if it doesn't happen, she'll put on the face and she'll say, oh, that's unfortunate. That's messed up. But I do think that she will be very much invested in finding out what a plan B is. Now back to city council. City council is going to city council. I think there's a part of city council that's like, look, I think there's some of them are waking up saying, what's in it for me? Because I also don't want to be a lapdog and just do what the mayor says and do what the damn building trades say. Yeah, I'm going to do it, but y'all better give me something. And giving me something is not fear. Fear does not work, people. There has to be something else at the table. And because they have leverage, I think there's some members of the city council waking up saying, listen, this shit is going to be a fucking tough vote, no matter how it goes. And if I'm going to vote for it, or I have to vote for it, God damn it, give me a reason to vote for it for myself. And so I do think that in these next couple of days, there is going to be some backdoor deals that's going to have to be made to get these people to move over. And I don't think that everybody has been given a good deal behind the doors. Allegedly. I think some people are looking like, I need to get some more scratch. Because I didn't think this was going to be as ugly as it is. But it is. And so I do sense that there is going to have to be a little bit more push. And I do sense that city council is going to have to force, which they should, the 76ers to do a little bit more. But I wonder if it's going to be enough, because Curtis said something very, very profound to me. He says that they're going to have to figure out whether the juice was worth the squeeze. That sounds like a man who was going to vote yes, allegedly. That sounds like a man, in my opinion, that's going to vote yes, and that's going to retire when this is over, and he's going to walk out with his pension, and he is going to say, listen, I did what y'all told me to do. I got my money. My wife is the city representative. She did her thing. I vote the way y'all want me to. I'm about to retire. I'm about to get my pension. Farewell, y'all. Good day. He cool. But some of these people that's got a political future that is not going to end in retirement, because Swiller could retire as well. Swiller might go ahead and retire and get his bag and do what he's going to do. I do think that in the next couple of years, a lot of these fellas are going to retire. Okay? I can see Curtis Jones retiring. I mean, someone could say Cindy Bass should retire, but we ain't gonna go there. I think she should retire personally, but who knows? But definitely Curtis is retiring. I could see him retiring. I could see Squilla retiring. I mean, Jack O'Neal or Brian O'Neal, he should retire. He should consider retiring. Driscoll just really got there, so he ain't gonna retire. Jim Harity ain't either. But some of these other people, some folks might need to consider what that future looks like for them, because they've been in council for, 16 years, over 12 years. Some of these people have been there for a minute. So it might be time for them to consider what their next moves will be. Because 16 years is a long ass time. 20 years is a long ass time. It's time for some of y'all to go ahead and bounce respectfully. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. But there are members who are fresh that just been in they're in their second term. Or some of them in their first term. Y'all don't got the luxury to just be out here making crazy decisions and not figuring out what your political future might be. So it's going to be an interesting tug of war to see how that plays out. Also, yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there for now. Stay tuned, because this upcoming Thursday will be right before the finale. The final vote and everything that goes down will be on Thursday, December 19th, will be the final day of City Council Live of 2024. That will be the season finale, the grand finale, the big one. And after that, baby, y'all know I'm about to be headed off on a flight to Houston with my family. I'm going to enjoy my holiday break, and then y'all will get y'all. I think y'all be getting y'all finale very soon. We getting close. These episodes are coming up. Episode. We get in there. We like what, two more episodes. Episode 25 will be the grand finale. And so I'm just, I'm keeping up with everything, keeping up with the schedule. We getting real close, y'all. We getting real close. We on episode 22. We got 3 more episodes left, and then we're gonna be off to the finale, off to the races, and it's gonna be a really interesting grand finale, y'all. So stay tuned. And then I go on my break, and then I return, and then we'll be back in action. But yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting period of time for sure with this decision. I'm really curious to see where everything is headed with the vote. But it's keeping me on my pins and my needles. In other good news, I don't know if that was good news, but in other good news, Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis is now elected the chair of the Democratic Lieutenant Governors Association. And that's really excited. He's coming off of a high off of PA study, which was at the New York Hilton Midtown. That's where it was at. And so he's, it's good to see that he's still out here going strong, as a lieutenant governor. He is one of the few Black lieutenant governors in America. And the fact that he is over the entire Lieutenant Governor Association of America is pretty dope. And I'm still happy for him. It's interesting given that Shapiro is still going to hold on to this gubernatorial seat. Would have been nice to see Austin, get the seat. That was the one benefit if there would have been a situation where Shapiro would have been the VP, but that didn't happen, and all that didn't happen. So here we are, Austin Davis is still making it happen. I'm really happy for him. And he's at Pittsburgh. It seems like Pittsburgh is doing their thing. They got diversity. They got Black mayor, Black lieutenant governor, all that repping over there. So, it's looking pretty good over there in Pittsburgh. But also, shout out to Austin Davis, who is a fan of this podcast. He listens to it. And also, he was one of the few special guests that we've had, because he was that compelling that he got his own, interview with me. So I'm taking it all in and very happy for everything that he's accomplished. So, looking good to seeing what happens there. So for this week's Ask Ernest, I had about 3 of you all specifically ask me a question around engagements. What I mean by engagement, not events, but like proposals. And one of you all were someone who was planning to propose to someone, and then 2 of you all are predicting to be proposed to. And there seemed to be a sense of unreadiness on both of these sides of the aisle on it. I was like, hey, what do you think about people proposing at holidays? I know that some people have concerns that proposing during people's graduations, their other professional endowments and experiences takes away attention, blah, blah, blah. And I've been a very much critical about that. Like, do not propose to somebody at their graduation. Like, let them celebrate it. I believe that good things do not all have to be splashed at one time. If you can spread out the love, please do, because it's always a good time, right? So I was about to say something, but I said, oops, somebody gonna catch that shade. I'm not gonna go there. And it was about something very different. But I'll just say hypothetically, like, if I'm telling people I'm engaged, I'm not feeling the need to be telling people I'm engaged and married at the same time. I just feel like that's just like, what? Anyway, I digress. Talking in general, nothing specific. But, you know, if somebody's worked hard to get a degree or to graduate or whatever the case is, I've always been like, or let's say they're getting an award and they're being honored for something completely, separate from what they do. And they're getting an award and they're being honored. I feel like to propose to them, to take that moment and make it something else, or to center yourself in that way, in that moment for them, is just kind of tacky, very tacky. Now, this conversation about holidays, I got engaged to on Christmas Eve. Okay, Christmas Eve of 2019. So close to 5 years ago. We're actually about to be 5 years ago from when I was engaged to, proposed to. But I got engaged, yeah. And then, of course, I got married 2 years after that, 2021. What I will say is, one, figure out if you all on the same page about that, because nobody wants to be embarrassed. Like, figure out if are you doing it knowing that this person wants this, because what we don't want to do is force anything. So that's the first thing I'll say on either side of this. If you're going to be proposed to, or you think I'm going to be proposed to, and you think this person can propose to you, you might want to go ahead and drop some hints that this is not what you want, at least right now. And it takes some time to figure out why. But I'm not trying to get too meta in it, but I'm just saying. The second thing I will say is, let's say that you and the person are on the same page. Where is this engagement happening? Because you bet not do it in their mama's house and nobody in the family know about it. You bet not do it in front of the whole family and no one knows about it, or no one's aware that this is happening. That's just rude. So if you staying over, the auntie's house or whatever, you better not do it. And if no one knows, because that kind of stuff is like cringy. I was like, do I want to do story time? I will say I have seen people propose to people in the worst ways. One, there have been people that thought about proposing at somebody's wedding. I ain't even going, all I got to say is I had to let a certain particular individual know, because I had heard some things. And this is not any of my friends. These people are not my friends or nothing like that. No one that you all would know. But if anybody ever thought for 5 seconds to propose at my wedding, first of all, that is just tacky. You would be completely discommunicated from me. That is tacky. I think people proposing at people's weddings are tacky. I know y'all see these little cute little movies and y'all think that's a cute little twist. Try that in somebody in real life. Tacky. Don't propose at someone's wedding shower. Don't propose at somebody's wedding. Just don't do it. It's tacky. Now, I know that there's this old school thing called the shotgun engagement. At least that's what my friends call it. The shotgun engagement is a situation where you and this person had a baby before marriage. Okay, it happens. Life happens. And you and them been dating, and y'all, you know how we say first come love, then come marriage, then come the baby. The baby is coming in the baby carriage before the marriage. The love came first, the baby came next, and then the marriage is coming after. So in this situation, you went to the baby shower and you proposed to your person at your baby shower. I've never experienced that. I've heard mixed reviews. Some people like it. Some people like the idea of knowing. Some people, the idea of that when the baby comes out, so will a wedding come down the road. I don't know how I feel about it. But that's been conversation for some people, like what that looked like. I mean, look, if you and that person got that connection, there's an understanding or whatever, but maybe the water might break. You never know scaring somebody like that. I don't know. I've heard about it. It's funny because Mr. Johnson, he does bartender Barry on the side. He one time did a bartending event for a big old wedding shower, not wedding shower, a baby shower. And the couple was in that situation where they weren't married, but they were, baby was on the way. And there was a surprise proposal. And while the person said yes, it was very clear that this was not the ideal place and space. So maybe for me is the answer then becomes do not do it on special like occasions. Like, I don't know. Like, so my situation was very different. Mr. Johnson proposed on Christmas Eve, not Christmas. My mother, my family was informed before I was informed. I did not know. And, people say, oh, do you get your family's blessing, all that? Listen, it wasn't no get the family blessing, courtship type of thing. But it was a mode of respect. Like, okay, we're spending the night. We're staying at my mom's house for the holidays and my folks' house. I'm not about to just roll up in here, propose to her son, and then, I mean, how modern does that sound? Propose to her son. But yeah, propose to her son and just be like, they had known about it. They had talked about it. They planned it. And he had told her, and she's actually, my mom picked out the place where I got proposed to, which was the Heinz water fountain in Houston, which is this iconic man-made water fountain that is like epic. I mean, it's gorgeous. She knew the location and planned it. They all basically planned the whole diversion of how to get me out the house on Christmas Eve and all of that. So they planned all of this. The thing about it is that because they were involved and they knew the proper time, and because imagine Christmas Eve, not Christmas Eve, like Christmas Day, I'm at home, my family know what's going on, and I'm getting proposed to like that. It just would have been it would have been a very different story. But, my friend, Dr. Parks, good old Joe, the Joe we like, we did it, Joe, you did it. That proposal was another great proposal. It was in a nice summer in Baltimore, a nice location, nice venue. Family was involved. Everybody was contacted. We all had to relocate to Baltimore for that weekend to make sure we showed up, and we was told ahead of time. We all made our accommodations. There was a nice plan. Even though Dr. Parks tried her power to unravel the plan, it was like, can you just allow for spontaneity? But she did get the spontaneity. Like no one, like I was dead quiet. Like no one knew. But he let the moms know, the parents, so everybody knew. Everybody was involved. We love to see it. And also, Dr. Parks was willing and ready and wanting, and everything was mint. The room was red. Do that. Do that. That's my advice to those who did the Ask Ernest. Do that. Just consider all the optics in all this. And if you don't consider, if you don't have any of that involved, now let me be very clear. If they have an estranged relationship with a family member, they don't deal with their family, they don't got a relationship, don't do that, then they don't matter. Then just whatever. But at least with like close friends, like a best friend, or people that you can trust in it. Like at least just make sure it just does not feel like an ambush. And also make sure that this person, you really reading them to know this is what they want. And if you don't sense that they are enthusiastic or will want that, if you are reading it that way, then don't do it. And then revisit the conversation as to why we still not ready for marriage. If that is something, right? And y'all have been in a long-term relationship. Maybe there might need to be another barometer in place. Maybe there needs to be a counselor. Maybe there needs to be other things. But just consider that. Just consider all the optics before you make a decision like that, because it is important and it does matter. And, nobody wants to be out here heartbroken. So, moving along, this week in movies has been exciting. I'm excited about movies. Like, I don't know if y'all can tell, but the Oscar season is finally here. Movies are moving, and it is a time to be a cinephile. That's the proper term we use, cinephile. It is a time to be a cinephile right now. We love to see it. Movies are moving right now, and it's it's a good time for movies. I mean, the Golden Globe nominations are coming out on Monday morning. So if you're listening to this, if you're my core listener, I'm recording this podcast before the Golden Globe nominations come out. I don't know what the snubs are going to be, what the surprise is going to be. I mean, I have my predictions. Um, and this is the big one, right? This is the big one. The Golden Globe nominations are like the precursor um, to the Oscars. But other things to consider, there's a lot going on right now with the box office. Before I get into the Golden Globe predictions, I want to talk about the box office. Moana 2, Wicked, Gladiator 2, they're holding it down. They're holding it down for the box office. Like they are just making their money. Everybody, I mean, movies are just doing good for the season. I mean, the same movies are good as they were. Um, and that's important, you know. Just to be clear. So Moana 2, got $52 million. Um, Wicked did $33 million, and Gladiator 2 did $12.4 million in its third box office weekend. Um, this is pretty big. Post Thanksgiving, um, great holdovers. The box office is still going strong after a period of time. Moana 2 made $600 million worldwide and just passed the lifetime global of the first movie, which made $582 million worldwide, is what the first Moana made. This one made 600 worldwide in its second week. Now that Y2K film that was by A24 was a flop. It got literally $2.1 million opening at the box office, and it got a C minus cinema score. I don't know why anybody want any horror films. I just don't know. But everybody getting ready for Christmas because y'all know the big one is coming right now, which is more exciting, is that Christmas is about to be big. Mufasa, The Lion King, the prequel film, is coming out on Christmas, and then Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is coming out as well. This Lion King, I am going to be quiet. I'm not trying to talk. Baby, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible. Barry Jenkins, who's an alpha, okay, my fellow frat brother, Oscar winner, okay, director of Moonlight, director of Beale Street Could Talk. He has another masterpiece on his hands. This Mufasa movie, this Lion King film, is incredible. I will not tell you anything about it, but it is incredible. And I thought that the year was going to end on this, like, okay, let's talk about Wicked. Baby, this Lion King film is incredible. Disney is back. Like, Disney is back. I okay, well, let me start off by saying that I like it more than I like the Lion King movie. So Lion King was pretty decent or whatever, but this right here is incredible. This story, this origin story, and I think the reason why I like it is because it's an original story from the Lion King that we have not seen. So many of the Lion King stuff that's come out has already been stuff we already know. We don't know anything about this origin story. I mean, until I did. I mean, I know about it now. It's incredible what they've done. This Scar, this is beautiful. I mean, the original Lion King will always be iconic, like the actual animated film. But my goodness, if this was an animated film and they did it during the, I feel like this would have been everything. This is better than The Lion King 2. And let me be very clear. The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride is a classic in this house. But this story, this whole narrative is better than that. This is literally the best Lion King story version since The Lion King itself. I know I'm talking heavy. You're like, what? What are you saying to us, Ernest? I am telling you all that this is good. The music is good. The songs are great. And yes, she's involved in it, and she does not disappoint. And y'all know who she is if you've been following this film. Queen Bee, okay? Nala, okay? That character. Listen, she does not disappoint. I was like, is there an Oscar coming? Or are we going to get another Oscar nomination here for original music? I mean, something's got to give. But but I also got to remember Lin-Manuel Miranda is a part of this. Lin-Manuel Miranda is a part of this. He did music for Moana 2. Look, he's on that Disney payroll. He did Mary Poppins Presents. He's got all his hands in the Disney bag. He getting that Disney money. Because he's also involved in this Lion King as well. Look, Oscar season for Disney is gonna be looking pretty nice. I just gotta say. Now, I will say this. My only thing about the animated stuff is Inside Out 2 was incredible. I'm worried that Moana 2's box office success might eclipse the Inside Out 2 excitement. In my opinion, Inside Out 2 was the best animated movie that came out this year. I will say The Wild Robot actually might be too. But Moana 2, it was a good film, but to be honest with you, it's not it well, I mean, it already made his money, so I can talk my shit. It felt like the first one all over again. There was not really any major storyline plot twists. It kind of feel like it lifted off the first film. I mean, at this point, everybody has seen it, so I'm just gonna say what everybody won't say. It's a good film. It's cute. I mean, it's a good film, but it kind of just seems like it picked off where the first film was already at. So, just an interesting observation. Just an interesting observation, in my opinion. I just had made that observation and I was like, okay, But it is doing what it do. We love sequels, and The Rock is The Rock, and we know what The Rock is cooking. But I feel like Inside 2 should win Best Animated Feature. And if it does not, The Wild Robot deserves as well. Because The Wild Robot was very touching, actually. Honestly, it's a toss-up. Because now that I think about it, I really did like The Wild Robot. Lupita Nyong'o can do no wrong, in my opinion. As a voice actress, she's incredible. So I just want to leave that there. What else? I mean, yeah, box office is box officing. I mean, I would just I'll say that much. The box office is definitely box officing right now. The new Lion King is everything. I have not seen the Sonic Hedgehog film. I don't really care to see it, to be honest. But we're gonna see, what's headed there, what's going there. I do have some predictions. And I'm really excited to see where those predictions land. But I do want to give my predictions. Because I think it's time to talk about the Golden Globes. Well, wait, I'll wait. Because before I talk about the Golden Globes, I do want to talk about these two important films that I think will also help you understand why I'm making my predictions, why I'm making them. So I just want to say that Conclave, if you have not seen Conclave, go find Conclave and go watch it. It is an incredible film. It is a must-see. It is a thriller among thrillers, and I just want to just speak up Conclave that it might be my personal pick for Best Picture. I know I talked about Amelia Perez, which is on Netflix. I personally found it interesting, but a lot of people are like not really feeling it as much. The public reception has not been that great. I think there's a little bit of transphobia behind that, to be honest. What I will also say though is that Conclave has been getting a lot of people are seeing Conclave and a lot of people are saying good things about it. So I do feel good about Conclave as a film. What else do I want to say? Yeah, I just want to just make sure I shout out Conclave. Another film that I've seen is called Hard Truths. And the reason I'm talking about Hard Truths is because of none other than the incredible performance by this incredible actress who I feel like I want her to get an Oscar nomination. I really want her to win for Best Actress, but everybody thinks that the category might be already locked. But I really like her, and I think people are sleeping on this actress. I gotta name her. She's already won. I think I've already talked about her already, but I just want to speak on her again because I just feel like she deserves to be talked about one more again. But this movie, Hard Truths, if you have not seen Hard Truths, It just opened. There are some theaters. I think there's the Met. If you're in Philadelphia, the Met is has Hard Truths out. And so a lot of good films you can watch is at not the Met, the Ritz Theater, Ritz East or Ritz West or whatever. Um, and yeah, we got to get to a point where, um, yeah, that's such a good film. So I really like that performance. It's a black lead actress who I hope is going to get the best lead actress nomination. I really do see an Oscar nomination coming for her very soon. It's time. It's time. I mean, we haven't ever had a best lead actress since Holly Berry, but I feel like she's making a strong case for herself with her performance in that film. Now, my predictions for um my Golden Goal predictions. So for Best Picture Drama, I think The Brutalist is going to get nominated. I think Conclave is going to get nominated. I think Dune Part 2 will as well. I could see Gladiator 2 getting in there, and Hard Truths, which I like, will. And I'm also going to say Sing Sing. I think Sing Sing, that's that Domingo Coleman film, might pull it because there's just so much rich history with that film. I keep telling you about it. There is going to be a theatrical re-release in January, which is good around Oscar season, when nominations might come out. I think that's a good one too. Now, if there was an upset as far as somebody switching something out, I would say Blitz. I think Blitz might get into the Best Picture Drama nomination. Who does it take out? It could take out Hard Truths, y'all, to be honest. Or Sing Sing. One of those could be taken out. But I think Blitz could pull an upset and get nominated. Now, Best Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, which is a weird category, but we already know this. I think Honora is definitely going to get nominated. Amelia Perez is going to get nominated. Wicked is going to get nominated. I can see this film A Real Pain with Kieran Culkin, who everybody thinks is going to win Best Supporting Actor or get nominated. He's been winning in some major categories. I can see him. Saturday Night, which is that film based on Saturday Night Live, I can see that getting nominated. Wicked, of course, I say, and Challengers as well. Don't sleep on Challengers because I don't want to sleep on My Good Judy, who just, Zendaya keeps killing it. So I don't want to sleep on that. That might get nominated. And Challengers was a good film. Now, the upset surprise nominee could be The Substance. That's the one with Demi Moore. Demi Moore in The Substance. She could pull an upset. And I don't know who she's going to knock out. I mean, she might knock out Challengers or she might knock out Saturday Night. We'll see. Now, Best Actor in a Drama. These are my people. Adrian Brody for the Brutalist. Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. Daniel Craig in Queer. Ralph Fiennes in Conclave. Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing. And John David Washington for The Piano Lesson. I think John David Washington might slide in there for The Piano Lesson. However, if there was an upset to be pulled, it'll be Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice. I could see him taking out John David Washington for The Piano Lesson. Or maybe, I don't know who else he could take out. But I definitely think maybe Daniel Craig for Queer, maybe. But A24 is doing his big one. But Sebastian Stan playing Donald Trump in The Apprentice might happen. Who knows? But it is an alternative. Now, for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical, this is not really a crazy category. I don't think any of these people get nominated for Oscars, but why not? Jesse Eisenberg for Real Pain. Hugh Grant in Heretic. Jesse Plemons in Kinds of Kindness. Glenn Powell in Hitman. Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool and Wolverine. And Sebastian Stan in The Different Man. Now, I might say my alternate might be Michael Keaton in Beetlejuice, because that was kind of popular. But this category doesn't really matter. I don't think any of these actors are going to get nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. Now, Best Actress in a Drama. This is when it's going to get hot and spicy. Marianne Jean Baptiste in Hard Truths. I think she's definitely going to get nominated. Angelina Jolie in Maria, which will be on Netflix very soon. Nicole Kidman in Baby Girl. Tilda Swinton in The Room Next Door. Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here. And Kate Winslet in Lead. However, I want to be very clear about this. I do think Pamela Anderson, the last showgirl, could pull an upset and get nominated. Pamela Anderson does her big one. I could see her knocking out Kate Winslet in Lee because that's a film that a lot of people don't know about. It has not got enough buzz, but the Golden Globes do like Kate Winslet, so I can see that happening. But I don't know. Somebody gonna get knocked out. I can see Pamela Anderson pulling an upset, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, Best Actress in Comedy or Musical is Amy Adams in Night Bitch, which is coming out very soon. Cynthia Erivo in Wicked, of course. Carla Sofia Gascon in Amelia Perez, which is going to be a big deal because if she gets nominated for an Oscar, she'll be the first trans actress to ever get nominated for a lead role. A pretty big damn deal, and I hope she does. Mikey Madison and Honora, which a lot of people think is the front runner for this, which I don't know. And then Zendaya for Challengers. However, I do think the potential upset swinger could be June Squibb and Thelma. She could be the upset. Now, back to Marianne Jean-Baptiste in Hard Truths, the lead actress winner. Nominee, Freudian slip. She's been nominated for Oscar before in like the 90s for a Mike Mann film. A lot of people are rooting for her in that category, but we'll see. Now, back to supporting actor. Best Supporting Actor, Jonathan Bailey for Wicked. I can see that because they do like musicals and Wicked is big. Kieran Culkin, who is considered the Oscar frontrunner for Will Payne. Clarence Macklin in Sing Sing. I really thought he was phenomenal in that. Stanley Tucci in Conclave, which is another great performance. Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, which is another strong performance. Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2, another strong performance. And the way that Denzel has been getting hyped up, we who knows, he could also pull a surprise win. People feel that potentially there could be an alternate, which is Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. He plays the infamous, his role in that, he plays Roy Cohn, which is the infamous Roy Cohn. He likes playing Roys, don't he? Because you remember his character and Jeremy Strong played a Roy, another Roy that we like or not like, depending on how you feel about that character, Kendall Roy, in Succession. So him playing these types of roles is not that unfamiliar territory. He could pull an upset, knock one of these actors out of this slot. I don't know. Maybe it's Clarence McLean and Sing Sing. Who knows? Or maybe it is Stanley Tucci. Well, no, I think Stanley Tucci's going to get it. Maybe he's knocking out Jonathan Bailey in Wicked. Who knows? Best Supporting Actress. Here are some of my potential nominations. Danielle Deadweiler for The Piano Lesson is going to happen. Selena Gomez and Amelia Perez could potentially happen. I can see that happening, y'all. I really do. I also think Zoe Saldana could win, and I think Zoe Saldana has been considered a front runner, and I really do think she's a front runner. Isabella Rossellini, I don't think she is a front runner, but I do predict because of how popular Conclave is, she might get nominated, even though that role she was barely in it. Saoirse Ronan for Blitz, Ariana Grande for Wicked, for sure. I have heard whispers, and this is what my potential upset could be. Jennifer Lopez and Unstoppable. People have been talking about that. Jerome Jarrell, who is a great actor. You all know him from When They See Us. I could potentially see a situation where she could pull that upset. So stay tuned on that. Best Director, I think Amelia Perez, Honora, Conclave, Wicked, The Brutalist, and Dune Part 2. But potentially Ridley Scott could take it for Gladiator 2. Original song, Forbidden Fruit Road from Better Man. El Mal from Amelia Perez. Mi Camino from Amelia Perez. Folie Douce from Joker, Fordru, which might be opportune for Lady Gaga to get nominated. Beautiful That Way is pretty good. Not My Fault from Mean Girls might pull an upset surprise nomination. We'll see. But those are my major ones. Those are my major nomination predictions when it comes to films. Now, as far as TV show go, it's been an interesting year for TV. Drama series, I'm thinking about the Emmys, Shogun. I could see Shogun, but The Diplomat could possibly surprise us all. Um, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, um, House of Dragon, Presumed Innocent might be nice. TV comedies and musicals. What if I told you I think The Bear might get snubbed? I can see The Bear getting snubbed, y'all, potentially. But I do see Abbott Elementary, Agatha All Alone, Hacks will definitely be a good one. Nobody Wants This is potentially there. I think that could happen. Only Murders in the Building, A Man on the Inside. These are Netflix shows. Um, TV series, I can see Baby Reindeer, Disclaimer. This is for a limited TV movie. The Penguin, I can see that happening. As far as TV actors for these new categories, I see Jake Gyllenhaal for Presumed Innocent. I think that was strong. Eddie Redmayne, The Day of the Jackal. I could definitely see that. Billy Bob Thornton for Landman. Kerry Sandana for Shogun. Definitely see Shogun in there. As far as TV actor goes, Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building, along with Steve Martin. That show English teacher, that actor Brian Jordan Alvarez is pretty good. Ray Romano's making a comeback. This new show called No Good Deed, I can see that. I guess we could say Jeremy Allen White for The Bear because he did previously win another Emmy. As far as TV actresses go, in drama, Kathy Bates for Matlock, I definitely think that's going to happen. Kerry Russell for The Diplomat for sure. Anna Swawe for Shogun for sure. Maybe Maya Erkinson for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but no promises there. As far as TV actor goes for a limited series, and this has been interesting. I do think that the Munsters, the Lau and Eric Melendez story might find itself up there. Those actors, the actors who Nicholas Alexander Chavez, who played in Munsters, the Lau and Eric Menendez story, I think he has a chance. Colin Farrell for The Penguin, Richard Gott for Baby Reindeer, Josh Andreas Rivera for American Story, Aaron Hernandez, American Sports Story, I think he has a good chance. Cooper Koch as well. And Andrew Scott for Ripley sounds promising, but you never know. I don't want to sleep on Tom Hollander for Feud, Capote versus Swans. As far as TV actress comedy goes, I mean, Io, Eddie Beery, of course, Quinta Brunson, Gene Smart for Hack, maybe Selena Gomez for Only Murders in the Building, maybe. I guess supporting actor for television, Javier Bardem, because he was fire in Munsters, that show. Eben Moss Bachrach, maybe. Tyler James Williams for Abbott Elementary, I can see that happening. Peter Sarsgaard as well. Harrison Ford for sure. Maybe Robert Downing Jr. possibly. As far as supporting actress goes, Meryl Streep is going to get nominated for Only Murders in the Building. I definitely predict that. Liza Colin Zayas for The Bear, because she just recently won. Carol Burnett, I can see that happening. Patty LuPone for Agatha All Alone. I can definitely see that happening. The actress in Baby Reindeer, I can see that happening as well. So there's a couple of good categories for those predictions. We'll see. We're gonna see. There's also other categories around stand-up comedy performance, which they're now doing a stand-up comedy performance nomination category. I hope Cat Williams get nominated for Woke Folk. That'd be fun, maybe. I mean, I don't really watch comedy specials, so I don't really have any major predictions there. But it'll be very interesting to see how this is going to play out. I can see TV actress in comedy, also Katherine Hahn for Agatha All Along. That show really did do well, and I really did enjoy it. So we'll see where that plays out. But yeah, those are my predictions in that department. For the Golden Globes. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and to see what is shaking the table. Now for music, because we definitely have some things to talk about. This is such a super long episode, but you all love it. And I love it for us because I have so much things to cover. Um, the Eras tour is finally over. Um, Taylor Swift has completed it. She finished it in Vancouver, Canada. $2 billion tour, epic. Um, a lot of fans have been upset about the book because they call it not the Eras book, but the Errors book, because there's some major errors in the book. A lot of fans are feeling some type of way about it. But I also want to bring up this point too. Billboard just concluded its greatest pop star of all time. Sorry, of the 21st century. And at number one was Beyonce, as she fucking should. A lot of people were, Taylor Swift got number two, Beyonce got number one. Billboard did this big one and really laid down the foundation. They made it very clear that let's be clear, Beyonce is a force to be reckoned with in the industry. And her impact and her reach is incomparable. And it goes beyond just sales alone. Yes, Beyonce does not have a diamond selling album, but Beyonce has multi-platinum albums. And while Beyonce does not have as many number one hits as Taylor Swift currently do, she also got number one hits, a lot of them, without having to have a music video and without having her number ones are different from Taylor's, where streaming and the way that streaming drives traffic. Beyonce has been an undeniable hit every year. She has charted on the Billboard charts for the past 25 years of this 21st century. There has not been one song there has always been a Beyonce song on the charts. And Beyonce has always been relevant and in the conversation. And one thing that I like that they said about her is that she barely had any losses, like any major L's in her career. That most of her career has been a conversation of wins, and there have been varying degrees of winning. So she's right now got super wins right now with Cowboy Carter, Renaissance Tour. But then there's times where there's been moderate wins, like the album of the release of 4, which was still successful and did really well in its own right, but it wasn't as high and as super selling as self-titled. They said that the digital drop that she had was probably one of the most pivotal major music moments in music history of the 21st century thus far, as far as how important and how instrumental it did and what it did for music on an industry level. And for those reasons, along with many of her other iconic moves and major plays, this is why she deserves this title. It's not just about who can sell the most, because numbers can always get fudged and messed around. It's about not only can you sell well at a high level, but how do you perform? How can you be? Beyonce is one of the few artists that can make commercially successful music that's also critically acclaimed music. It's critically acclaimed and commercially successful. It can win Grammys, but it can also be trends that your kids are doing on TikTok, but also trends that we all know in our vernacular. She has lyrics of songs that have gone into the Webster's Dictionary multiple times. She has done with less more. She could do a video in a leotard and change a whole fashion trend around why music artists and pop decide to wear leotards. Because when Single Ladies happened, she had a budget that was very low. And in Single Take Act, she recorded a music video that would have been arguably one of the first music videos to become 1 billion views. And it does not require massive budgets to do it, because the likeliness and the brand of what Beyonce represents is bigger than what it is. Beyonce is not just an artist. She's an idea. She is literally a ground and a blueprint for what other pop stars should want to be. And let's also be clear that the other people on that list, and that top 10 as she is in that list with, have all cited Beyonce at one point in time as being somewhat of a blueprint or inspiration to their career and aspirations. She is your artist's favorite artist. She is the GOAT of the business as of right now. She is the greatest living pop star of our era and of our current time. Okay? That is what Beyonce is and what she represents. Her longevity, her ability to maintain a high quality of music, performance value, all of it combined is why she is number one. And we could talk, look, you can make comparisons all day with other girls, but the stability, the longevity of what she's been able to achieve through a quarter of a century and counting is monumental. And all those people that's on the cusp, right? The Rihannas, the Taylor Swifts or whatever, right? Try doing it for as long as she's done it. And then one day you too can be that great pop star of the 21st century. Just saying. This woman's taking no breaks. This woman has consistently been out here. Put some respect on the name. Just saying. In other news, Kendrick Lamar has number one album in the country, which is no surprise to anyone. He's going on a national tour very soon with SZA, which is pretty dope. And he currently occupies the top 5 slots on the Billboard charts. He has the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 are all Kendrick Lamar songs. Squabble Up is the number 1 song in the country. This comes as a quite bittersweet moment because Kendrick, to be clear, he is one of the few artists to do this. Drake has done it and Taylor Swift has done it. Now, and I think the Beatles have also done it. So that's pretty historic. Now the arguments around can Kendrick do Drake numbers with hits? Clearly he just did. This is a little bittersweet because Shaboozey, as we all know, currently Shaboozey he ties with Lil Nas X as the longest running number 1 hit of all time. Shaboozey has spent 19 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard charts. If he has one more week at number 1, he will outpace Lil Nas X and will have the number 1 of all time. I just want that to be known. I just want that to be said. I just want that to be heard for everybody out there. Okay? Yeah. So, people need to, know the differences and know what is giving what on so many different levels. Because that's all I'm gonna say. And then last thing I want to talk about the Lizzo lawsuit, because a lot of y'all asked me about the Lizzo thing, what I knew about it, what I heard about it. So Lizzo did have a courtroom victory in her lawsuit. In the lawsuit battle she had, one of her former employees, people she worked with, stylists, was suing her for all types of allegations around harassment. Well, the judge dropped the case, not on the basis of the fact that they don't believe the accuser, but because technically they said that the dealings of which Lizzo as a person cannot be sued for this, that a lot of the complaints and things brought was really much more connected to her company, Lizzo's company, than Lizzo, which means that if this person wants to go back and sue Lizzo, they will have to sue Lizzo's company, not Lizzo. That's why LLCs matter, y'all, limited liability companies. So why does this matter? What does this mean? Well, here's the thing. Because this person wants to sue Lizzo and not, I guess she's not accusing Lizzo of a crime, because if she will report the crime, then Lizzo would have to go to court, and then there's no money. Of course, Lizzo's people and her supporters have claimed that this has always been a money grab since the jump. So, of course, if Lizzo was doing such criminal behavior or things that you thought was very criminal, then you would have, of course, filed a police complaint and really filed it, right? But people sometimes like to sue rather than file police complaints because suing allows them to get some type of settlement of money in some cases. In this regard, there was a lawsuit. Lizzo has gotten her day in court. If she sued Lizzo, I think her plan would have been that suing Lizzo meant that she could get Lizzo's personal assets, like Lizzo's actual money. But because Lizzo has a company and everything was dealt through the company, that's why I tell people LLCs matter. And this is not a particular direct impact, but of a service through the hiring, right? This wasn't like a Lizzo and me had a personal situation. This is a business transaction to her business. It's what the business is worth. So if they try to sue, let's say, this person tries to sue the company, they're only going to be able to get whatever money is allocated through the company. It will not be involved in Lizzo's personal assets. So let's say, for example, that, she could have sued Lizzo. The jury would have been able to try to expend whatever amount that they think Lizzo was worth. They could have done it where they could have made her fork out millions upon millions of dollars. In this situation, because they're suing the company may not be worth all of that money, and maybe there could be some type of settlement or resolve that will then give her something, but not give her whatever she's seeking. And maybe it may go back to the courts, and maybe the court might dismiss it, or it might not even yield that much. But right now, it just is not looking good for this person suing Lizzo. So, the law matters. Just saying. Now, on to TV. If you have not seen the Abbott Elementary holiday special, I encourage you that after you listen to this podcast episode, set your DVR and go watch it if you have not watched it already. It is a 1-hour special. It just aired last week. If you have not watched it, please watch it ASAP. It is some of the best TV. It is such a good holiday show. It is very Philly. It is very Black. It is very modern. It is so good. I just want to say that. The Abbott Elementary Holiday Special is dope. Okay? This season of Abbott has been doing so good. I've like really enjoyed this season. Like every episode has been a hit. And I just love that the whole, Eddie, Greg and Eddie and, Greg Eddie relationship, her and, Janine, that the relationship is great. They're together, but it has not ruined the rest of the flow of the show. I was kind of concerned. I've said that if they end up getting together, well, the thing is the love affair thing kept dragging. So I knew that something had to happen. But the cool thing is that they actually are making it work as a couple. Is kind of cute to see. And that it didn't end on like a breakup or something. Like the fact that the relationship is they're developing and growing together, and it's a cute little love story. But what's also cool about it is that it did not drag forever and ever, but also that it's a part of the show, but it doesn't define the show. I just love that there's a nice balance there, and like everybody's like coexisting as them as a couple. So I love what they've done with it in this particular episode, this 1 hour special, which is great. Really does bring that together in a great way. So I loved it. Love and Hip Hop Miami is coming with the fire. I'm really loving when I'm watching Love and Hip Hop Miami. I just love the development of the cast. Everybody is bringing their drama. Everybody's bringing their A game. Like, shout out to this season. Like, oh my goodness. Like, Trina has her own drama. Trick Daddy has his own. Everybody has got their own little storylines going on, and I love to see it. And lastly, as far as me, what I have coming up this week, announcements, surprises, holiday parties, of course. This is holiday party season is officially here. Like, I'm going to be at luncheons, late night happy hours, dinners. I'm looking forward to all the holiday parties that's coming up. And some birthday parties. Like, shout out to my, this is the season for my Sagittarists. Shout out to my faves, Jessica, who just had a birthday this weekend. My girl, Jessica Anderson. Nina has a birthday coming up this upcoming week. Okay. Friday 13th. And guess who's playing Jason? Anyway, shout out to my girl, Lauren Footman, also having another birthday. All of my Sagittarius, my good Judy Cindy in Houston, all of them are doing their thing. And so, yeah, it's a most wonderful time of the year. And then also, my students are done for the semester. I'm about to grade their final grades at CCP. Looking forward to that. It's been a great semester teaching. Now I get to finally put their final grades in, and their futures are now in my hands, and I get to see all that. So that's kind of enriching, and it's a great time. So I'm looking forward to all the surprises that this year's bringing, and wrapping up this wonderful season of Ernestly Speaking. We got, I think, episode 23, episode 24, episode 12, 3 more episodes left until we wrap up this year. So it's gonna be a good time. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.